2, 1. Good afternoon, besties. Welcome back to YouTube. We are live simultaneously on TikTok. That's been like my intro for all my lives. Welcome to YouTube. We're live streaming on both platforms. Okay, hold on. Let me pin a comment for those of you that are going to be joining me on my YouTube. $5 doubles for spin time is tonight. Spend time. Doubles, yeah. Hey, besties. Thanks for joining me on YouTube. I'm about to pin a comment really quick. Say no to the way. Okay, me from TikTok. Thank you. Hello, besties. Okay, so I'm just pinning this comment to the chat for those of you that may want to join the Canada wheel. Okay, right now I don't have anything on the screen, no receipts. So earlier we did about a 2-hour live. I hope you had some time to catch up. We are just kind of regrouping. And we're also live on TikTok. Hey, Bestie, you're on. I missed your morning live and last night's. Glad you can make it to this one. True, Mormons don't get divorced. Well, so if they're married in the temple, I don't know how that works, but like being married in the temple, I don't think you can undo that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I find it interesting that she's a newfound Catholic. And the big Catholic wedding, I don't know if that's how that's gonna work. Okay. Oof. I was watching your earlier live, but jumped to this one instead. It's a process. How do you guys feel about the house tour? How do you guys end up feeling about? Do we still think that we have nicknamed it the White House? Let me jump over to YouTube. Yeah, we're live on YouTube as well. I dropped new badges to all my members. I'm loving the new badges. The badges we had before, mind you, I've been on YouTube for like 4 years, and Honey's new cream should be here, she smells us. And we've had the same badges forever. So I took some time this morning, and I think they're really cute. They're kind of small in the chat, but they're super, super cute. And now I can easily tell like how long somebody has been subbed to my channel versus before I wasn't. Okay. I'm more angry to find out it's an indigenous town they decided to build on. Yes. I look at her house completely different than I did before. And again, the way that this build has been romanticized, right? Along with the love story and everything else. But the fact that the White House was built on croplands. Lily Perez, welcome to YouTube Besties. Thank you so much for joining my memberships. I hope you enjoy all the perks, badges, stickers, and the upcoming giveaways. I think the White House, when we're talking about the White House, we're referencing to Candace's house. Should I put it up on the screen for y'all? Do you guys want to see it on YouTube just for some reference of what we're looking at here? And I think the map is a really, look, we're just gonna pick up right where we left off on the last live, and I think it's a good visual to give people so they understand what we're looking at, right? So on my YouTube you can see the Google image of her house, but more importantly is the map. Well, let's start here, the placement, and then when we were doing our research, she lives in a town with a population size of 500 people. Okay, 500 people. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny town, and we found out that her town is un pueblo ejidatario. What does that mean? It's similar to like a reservation. It's comparable to a reservation in the U.S. Okay, so the land in that town is owned by the people, not the government. It's not owned by private individuals. It's owned by the community for the purpose of social use, Okay, so it's supposed to be land for the community. That's why you can't privately own it. So they purchased a plot of land inside that community, inside that reservation, that used to be cropland. And common sense, what are the crops near that town used for? And you can see how close it is to the town to feed the town, right? To create income for the farm workers or whatever. So they built their house on cropland, indigenous cropland. And it's the biggest house in the area. The biggest house, and it wasn't built inside the town. They bought land on the outskirts of the town. Close enough they can drive in, right? But somebody had mentioned that previously. She had mentioned that there were bigger houses in her area. No, they're not. Okay. The average size of the houses in her town, and I went through looking through Google Maps, is the size of one of her garages. So this is a close-up of the White House. The White House is what we've nicknamed it. So it's very much modern-day colonialism that's being glamorized and romanticized into this love story. Okay. The size of her house is not average. The size of her house is much bigger than any houses in the area. And the town is a town that is a very humble town. I don't want to say that it's a town that lives in poverty, but it definitely has very limited resources. Just by the look of the size of the map. The white lines that you see there, I X'd out the name of the street, so it doesn't identify exactly what area she lives in, which, mind you, we were able to find this from the content she has shared on her YouTube channel. So it's not hard to find. I think she's misrepresented a lot of things behind her house as well. Yeah, love story is generous. In the same way that she has glamorized and romanticized certain things. The house is bigger than the fucking church. Yes. Her house is bigger than the church. It's bigger than probably any building. It's probably bigger than warehouses. As you can see, and I would love to take you through the town, but then people are gonna get upset that I'm doxing her. Okay, and probably will make me a little uncomfortable too. But if I take you through the town, you'll be able to see that it's a very humble town. And you'll be able to see that in her own YouTube videos, right? You can tell que no es gran cosa, no hay mucho. In fact, the way we were able to find where she lives is because one of her YouTube videos showed the church. And somebody recognized the church that she vlogged. And so off of that, they went looking through the town and voila, found her house. So, this is what the area used to look like before her house was there. Hold on one second. Okay, so notice the difference. It used to be croplands for corn. And then before her house, after her house. So today when we were, y todos aquí, ella lo merece, ella batallaba, ella podía hacer más. No entendí muy bien. The house is really big. It makes sense because it's more rooms for, Greg. Okay. What's the bigger town she goes to for shopping? I have no idea. I haven't followed her vlogs that closely. Yeah, if you want the visuals, go to YouTube. I don't hate when foreigners come to America and buy big houses, respect their hustle. Yeah, the difference is that when foreigners go into the U.S. to buy houses, typically, and we're going to talk about immigrants because I'm sure that's what you're referring to and comparing, we are not displacing. We are not buying on reservations. This land has been purchased pretty much in a reservation. So the example that I wanted to get, that I gave earlier that maybe some of you guys weren't here from, because she likes to paint that this town loves her. And even social media has been conditioned to say she does so much for her community. She does so much for her community. So I want you to compare what she gives to the community versus what she took, starting with the croplands that she built her house on top of. Okay, so now you guys can compare what the return is for her versus the town. She donates a little bit to the school here and there, supplies, the school that her child goes to. She donates a little bit to the animal shelter, and then you guys talk about how much she gives back. But how much did she take in exchange for that? Starting with the crops that she put her house on top of. Starting with the way that she records everybody. Now let me give you another example of how this town probably perceives her. One thing I know is that local Mexicans, especially in small towns, are not fans of repatriated Mexicans, okay? So yes, Fidel grew up in this town and he left when he was 17 years old. And then he came back because he was deported, okay? And then he left again, okay? And then came back again because he was deported. So by all means, Mexicans are gonna look at Fidel like, you're here because you have to be. On the second time that he's deported and comes back, he brings his white wife with him. Okay, and they buy a piece of the cropland, and now they're building the biggest house in the area. And on top of that, his little white lady wife goes around and she records all of their town events. She has their camera in all the church events, las ofrendas like this, and she uses that to put it on her YouTube channel. And with that money, they're building the biggest house in the area. Do you really think that the local community is embracing of them? Especially when, on top of it, they decided to build their house not inside the town. They're not building, they didn't choose to build inside the town. They actually chose to build away from everybody. Okay, let me show you for those of you that haven't seen it. This is the town, and this is where they bought their land. This is where they're building. Okay, they're building away from everybody. And then they'll go into town to record their YouTube videos to get content from the townsmen. They'll upload it to YouTube and they'll dump more money into their land over here. Okay, these used to be croplands. This is where they used to plant corn. This used to belong to the community. Now it belongs to them. Now a white foreigner is dumping dollars, including American taxpayer dollars, into that house away from the rest of the town. Now, you tell me if you still feel the same about how much they give to the community and what she's taking in exchange. There are no other homes around her land. None. It is the only one. This is what the land used to look like before they started building. This was before. And this is after. So do you see the difference? Fruitful, plentiful, green. Now it's just this. Now it's just the house. Okay. When she tells you that there's bigger houses in her area, she's lying. There's no other houses. There's nothing else over here besides her house. And and it's not walking distance to the town. Probably a 5-10 minute drive into the town. Native Rallying, welcome to our YouTube memberships. Thank you so much for joining my channel. I hope you enjoyed the stickers and the badges. The house is surrounded by farmlands, right? And where her house sits used to be part of those farmlands. So they took a chunk out of it to build their house on top of it. So, and regardless of how you want to word that or romanticize it, the plot of land that they're using to build their house on used to grow crops for the town. Even if it's a small amount, a bigger amount, compare this to a res. White people moving into reservations, building houses inside the reservations, the biggest house in the area. She's literally managed to romanticize modern day colonialism. And that's an American, okay? Some of you will try to defend it because of Fidel. You think Fidel would be able to build that house without her resources? That's an American privilege right there in the middle of a tiny town of 500 people. If it was just Fidel, he wouldn't be building something that size. He wouldn't have the biggest house in the area. through her privilege, through her resources, through your American taxpayer dollars. That's how that house is being funded. It's the biggest one in the general vicinity, away from the rest of the townsmen. If she's so about, immersing herself in part of the community, why did they build their house so far away? Why did she misrepresent to some of you that there's bigger houses around when there's clearly not? The average size of the houses in that town is the size of one of her garages. One. So when we talk about what is gentrification, wealth moving into poorer areas and the displacement of locals. That land used to belong to locals, and that land used to be used to harvest crops for the town. So it is a textbook case of gentrification and colonialism. Modern day, being glamorized by through a digital storytelling project. Oh, that's not a humble house at all. Let me put it back on the screen on YouTube. Let's count the rooms. And this is just the front. Mind you, I can't see the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2-car garage, plus there's the back. And it looks like there's even something up here. La mujer está casada con un mexicano. ¿Estás consciente que los mexicanos también formamos parte de la gentrificación? Es la razón por cual nos discriminan tanto a los mexicanos que somos deportados. Gente como yo también contribuye a la gentrificación. Ser mexicano no significa que no eres parte de. Being Mexican doesn't give you a get out of jail free card. We also gentrify. Mexicans can also gentrify. Gentrification isn't limited to just one nationality or one race or one group of people. Anybody can gentrify. So her being married to a Mexican means nothing. That's you trying to shield her white privilege through the identity, the borrowed identity of somebody that's been deported. So it's the same way that you guys have tried to shield her. You guys have tried to shield her from her white privilege through her borrowed identity as the wife of a deported migrant. Gentrification happens everywhere, not everywhere, but this is a poignant case of. Again, this is a town of 500 people. 500 people live in this town. We're not talking about. We can try to downplay it all we want, right? That, oh, it's just this. Oh, it's just that. Exit. And because it happens everywhere, doesn't mean we should glorify it. What town is that? It's a small town outside of Puebla. And she shared openly that she lives in Puebla, right? So it's not hard to find if you look for it. That's isolation. So how can she talk about helping the town and town folk when she's not even going to be living among them? She'll only be going into town when she needs to create her little vlogs, when she needs to partake in festivities so she can have content. But other than that, she will live, away. And I think it's interesting because in the video that I showed at the beginning when Fidel was talking about we've been waiting to build a house because we wanted to find the right one, the right location so it's close to the school for kids and etc. That house is not close to the school or anything. It's actually not close to anything. So I would be curious what people in her town, how they actually feel about her. Because one thing I know, small towns like that are not very receptive to foreigners, outsiders, so to speak. They don't even have to be foreigners, but even Mexicans moving into small communities like that, you're not embraced right away, right? And so again, the fact that Fidel has left this small town twice. Think about this, okay? Mexicans already resent us for going to the U.S. So when we come back, it's not like we're welcomed back with open arms. There's a chip on their shoulder towards us because we left. Okay, so he gets deported in 2012, comes back to his town, leaves again, returns to the U.S. He gets deported again, and then this time he brings his wife with him because he has to stay, right? So by all means, a local is going to look at his stories like, well, he's here because he has to be. That's how they look at us. They're here because they have to be, not because they want to live among us. And then to boot, this time he brought back una gringa, right? He brought back a white girl with him. And they're building the biggest house in the area and maybe they haven't even put two and two together that they're profiting off of the town to be able to build that house. Their house is made purely of cement, which in Mexico, whose house isn't, but anyone heard of cement blocks? Blocks are expensive, I can tell you, because I built it. I built blocks too, but in the area where they live in, everything's going to be cheaper because it's a tiny town. And they're very close to Ciudad de Mexico, so it's going to be cheaper than building here. But still a pretty penny for a house that size. Is there even an animal shelter? Yeah, has anyone ever found the animal shelter she donates to? I'm super curious on that. Y'all have been talking about this animal shelter for years. Has she ever... I haven't seen any content about this animal shelter. I haven't looked enough, but... Have y'all seen the animal shelter? Bestie Rosa y Franda, besties, thank you so much. I just got your doubles for tonight's spin. Not even talking about receipts, but have we ever seen her? Have we ever seen the said animal shelter? It wouldn't take much to verify if there's actual donations going into a shelter, but is there a shelter in that tiny little town? Let's do some research. Let me church it up. You haven't looked enough. Girl, you're obsessed. Yes, we are. Me and... How many of us are in here obsessed? Raise your hand if you're obsessed. Anything else? I need to get to the bottom of this. This is true crime story I'm working on, okay? Okay, puppy rescue and volunteering at the animal rescue. All revenue earned from this video will be donated directly to the animal rescue. All right, let's see. Let's see where Candelaria does her community service. Let's see what she puts back into the community after taking a chunk of their cropland.
Multiplication. Okay, class, let's begin. What is 4?
Hello from Mexico. Welcome back to our channel. Today is Sunday and we're headed over to the animal rescue. They are having an event today where they are deep cleaning the rescue and they're also giving all of the dogs a bath. So we're going to take you guys along with us for that. But first we're going over to the kindergarten teacher's house because she has rescued a mom and her 7 puppies. So we're taking them to the rescue today as well so that the puppies can be adopted out, mom can get fixed, and then also find a new home. So we have a lot of stuff on our agenda today. So if you like what you're watching, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started with our Sunday.
Okay, so she says all revenue earned from this video will be donated to the animal rescue. You know what else we're going to check out for this? We're going to check how much she makes on YouTube. I saw a video of a YouTuber that did a video on what she makes. So that'll be next. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out is that she heavily pushes this message that all of this money is going to the animal shelter. How many times she's done such a good job of conditioning her audience of donations. She makes donations, things like this. Always giving a loud disclosure that I'm donating this, I'm doing this. Why do you think she does that? Class. Let's have a little class first before we jump into the video. Why do you think she does stuff like this? And blast it before the video even starts rolling. I'm donating. So you know that I'm making this donation. Veronica Bessie, thank you so much. I just got your $2 for tonight's spin. To get people to donate? No. Oh, to her? No. I feel, my personal opinion is so people take that and then repeat it elsewhere. Because in various points of this beef, one of the things people always defend her with is, but she does so much for her community. She does so much for her community. This is to condition you into looking at her content and believing that by you helping her make money, you're helping that animal shelter as well. This is a marketing strategy. So when you are engaging, when you tell yourself, I'm going to help her so she can make money, so she can donate here. Right? That's what she's planting with these disclosures. If you help me, I'll help them. And perhaps some people even do it in the form of donations. But this encourages people to, it makes viewers think, I'm a part of this. I'm a part of this. I'm helping that animal rescue by watching her videos, by doing this. And the other side of it is, so then they are going to be repeating this everywhere they go. But she donates to the animal shelter. She donates to the, so she's now made you her billboard. She is using you to spread her marketing of the community service that she does. Social signing. Pay attention. Because I'm going to tell you one thing. No, it's not positive if there's a bigger return for her than the service that she's doing. Okay? I have done several community service projects. And in the beginning, I used to post about them too. I never got the love that she did. People criticized me for it. I stopped doing that. To date, if I wanted to, I could show you receipts of money that I personally donated to multiple causes here in Vallarta. I don't do that anymore. Why? One, because it opened the door for a lot of hate. But two, because I feel like when you're doing these things, people don't appreciate cameras in their faces and it feels ingenuine. It does. And I learned that as well. In the beginning, you are using their cause as a billboard, if that makes sense. And it started to feel, I try to put myself in the shoes when I received assistance. When there was a time where I relied on Angel Tree in the U.S. Okay, I did. For Christmas, for my kids. And I try to think, if I'm going over to receive assistance and there's somebody with the camera in my face, how's that going to make me feel? Right? Because, especially for creators, I feel like it's more so to make their brand look good. And that's how I feel about these disclosures that she gives. Because if you're truly donating and doing this and doing that, there's no need to put a big fat disclosure at the front of your videos. That, hey, I'm donating. In case you didn't know, I'm donating. You see where this is going? So, mind you, she's going to donate, but she's also going to monetize this video. She's going to monetize the TikTok video, and she's going to monetize the Facebook video. So she's going to monetize in at least 3 to 4 different platforms on this particular video. Not Diego with the carne asada and onions that the tia loves so much. Sorry, that jumped out at me.
When you donate,
did you guys catch the carne asada and onions in the intro?
you're stepping up for another.
They, as you saw, the maestra put up kind of, like an enclosure
for
thing for them so they could be safe, but they definitely needed to kind of go and get sterilized, and they need to get their vaccines, and the rescue will very quickly find them new homes. So that's why we're taking them over today, just so that they have the best chance, and that the maestra can't take all of them. She already has she's a lot like us. She already has, I think, like 10 or 11 dogs. So she has quite a bit already that she's rescued as well. So it's a lot. So if mom comes back, what they'll do. Okay, guys, we're here at the rescue. And today.
Okay, this is the rescue. Why does it look like someone's house?
To a safe place. And then after that, get them all sterilized and vaccinated so that they can find their forever home. Okay, guys, we're here at the
Ay,
rescue.
como déjenme ser infeliz
And today they're doing a
a
ton of
solas,
cleanup.
por
They're getting
favor.
rid of
Gracias.
all of the weeds. They're opening up a couple more spaces, making a couple modifications. All of the dogs basically get along. All the way in the very, very back are spaces for moms and puppies. So we have the puppies back there.
So this
there
is
a
the
mom
shelter that she donates to every month. It's somebody's house.
nursing and
Right.
has adopted a couple puppies. So we're leaving her with those puppies to see if she adopts them, and we'll feed them. But for right now, they're going to get started on that, and then there will be a group that is also going to be washing. Giving all the dogs baths.
To my super bestie that found her rental home and her, if you're watching, can you find us the animal shelter? I just want to see what the outside looks like.
Getting a bath today as well.
I want to see if it's an actual animal shelter or just maybe somebody that does this, you know, from the goodness of their heart. Someone said that's a terreno she was supposed to build her house. So this is just I think the whole video she just shows us the backyard.
Okay, so giving baths to all the dogs, also cleaning out their water things and the enclosures. We've got Fidel and Diego working on this part, and then we've got other volunteers all the way in the back. So lots of stuff getting done today in the rescue. Not all of these dogs are fans of the blow dryer, guys, but they are drying them off as soon as they're done in the bath so that they don't get muddy in the dirt parts of the rescue. And Fidel.
I want you guys to notice that this animal shelter is probably, if you know, shelter whatever it is. How do you think they feel about her not only recording, but it's all in English? They have no idea what she's even saying as she's recording these videos. Notice that there's locals in this video, like the lady that's blow drying the dog and stuff. The fact that these videos aren't in Spanish to me is disrespectful because she's recording people and they have no idea what she's saying. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Make kind of a little place for them to stand without getting mud on their...
Do you see Candace helping? No. Candace's only job is this.
So someone escaped the dryer.
Everybody else working except for Candace.
Decided to take a dirt bath. Yeah, she's just living her best life, rolling around in the dirt.
So everybody's washing dogs' asses, picking up dog shit, and what's she doing? This. This is her volunteering. This is what she's doing. And then she's gonna take the video and go monetize off of it.
Both of them refuse the dryer.
This is a perfect example of the exploitation. Perfect. Okay, you don't see her getting in there. You don't see her helping with the dogs. She's just there for fucking content while everybody else is doing the volunteering. She's recording local people, giving the dogs baths in English, mind you. In English. They have no idea what the fuck she's even saying as she's recording them and using their image. That will then end up on her YouTube channel for our consumption.
But everybody else is getting bathed. Okay.
Like you don't own a fucking ring light?
Basically burying it. Diego's over there.
You don't own a tripod? Or you could get in there and get your hands dirty?
Girl.
Notice that when she does the house vlogs, let me tell you something. When my house was being built, I got in there with the guys. Why? Because I wanted to be able to say that I helped build my house. And any of the house vlogs, have you ever seen her get her house dirty, get her hands dirty? The same way with this video. It's never Candace, it's everybody else but Candace. That's very fucking telling, you guys. It's very telling. The only thing she shows up for at the job sites, at the community sites, is for this. For this. For this. For this. It explains why when her family showed up to visit and they went to the job site, they didn't sit at the same table as the workers that were having lunch. Okay. It tells you her current state of mind. Everybody, she pays everybody to do it, right? But she's not in there with them. She's just there for content.
And then taking them over to Fidel. Okay, guys, we got some sodas in that for everybody to get a drink. And now we're going to go back and feed the puppies. We're all done at the rescue. So we're going to come and have some food. Ah, nice. and then we'll head home. Finish out our day.
The way that teams brainstorm is broken. They're working on a whiteboard that's disconnected from the rest of their work, and it's...
You ever watch the videos where Candace's sister visits? You can see where Fidel's face lights up. No, but we did watch an interview with her sister, and she cried when she said that. She's sad that she didn't get to see Fidel.
Okay, Fidel got mole de panza. Diego got tacos de bistec, right? The maestra got gorditas. And then another mole de panza for her husband. Dominic got the drive, just because there's a lot of like trees and mountains and the roads like curved and windy. Yeah, of course my phone won't focus, but yeah, headed home. All right, we're dropping Fidel off here at the house site. He's got some work to do, so his Theo brought over our horse for us. There's Cielo. Hi, buddy. Video will go to the animal rescue. If you got...
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to fast forward.
We finish off our day. As you saw in the beginning of the video, all of the revenue earned from this video will go to the animal rescue. If you guys have been subscribed and following for a long time, you've seen other videos of the rescue and that when we were earning revenue on TikTok, so when we were part of the creativity fund or the creator fund, we would donate all of our TikTok revenue. That included gifts from lives, whatever TikTok paid us for our videos, things like that.
She's always put high emphasis on that. And I call cap. I call bullshit. Why? Because I know that there was a point where she was making a significant amount of money. There was a time where the creator reward program was very lucrative. Not so much anymore. Maybe a couple of years ago, a year or two ago. There was a point in time where the creator program was popping. Okay. I have a hard time believing that she donated all of that because the animal shelter would be in much better condition. In fact, that's why I want to find the animal shelter on Google Maps so we can see what the building looks like. Okay, but if she had been donating that money for so many years, logically, don't you guys think that that animal shelter wouldn't look like somebody's backyard? Like there would be kennels, there would be better facilities, there would be better staff. If for this many years, because she's been saying that for a long time. Sorry, I have a glass in my... Wait. Hold on. I think I stepped on a piece of glass. It would be nice, wouldn't it? They would have a lot of resources, wouldn't they? They would have, I don't know. You would see improvements. Don't you think you would have seen improvements through time to that animal shelter, logically? So if you've been donating thousands of dollars, because by now it should have amassed to thousands of dollars for as long as she said that she has been donating. We've never seen a video of her donating. Now we know she likes to make videos about when she donates, doesn't she? She did it with the kindergarten class, with the English class. Some of you mentioned she did a video when she took supplies. So if she is such a fan of showing you guys, why has she never showed her going to deliver money? Or going to deliver supplies or something? What donations? How do those donations get to the shelter is what I want to know. She's saying that money, she mentioned all proceeds will go directly to the animal shelter. Okay? So I just feel like there would have been a gradual, she probably would have made that even a project, right? Showing you this is how it used to be with the donations. We've been able to get it to this. Now we have kennels. Now we have more dogs. Now we have more space. Look what we've been able to do to the front office. Do you see where this is going? If she's been fucking donating to this place for fucking years, and I'm telling you, she's been making bank. She's been making bank. If she's saying all her TikTok revenue with a creator that big, she was making at least $10,000 a month. At least. At least. I have a hard time believing all that was going to the animal shelter. And this video alone got 34,000 views. a year ago. Okay, now let's see. What does Candace make on YouTube? Somebody did a video on this. Okay. What does Candace make on YouTube? Somebody made a video and said, lo impresionante lo que gana la güerita en YouTube. Okay. This video was made 2 years ago.
Compra tus entradas ahora. Te van a matar sobre en cines.
¿Por qué tu ex compañera de clase está siempre viajando por el mundo y tú sigues llegando justo a fin de mes? Te voy a contar el secreto que ella dejó.
Cumple con estas dos condiciones. Aquí nos dice
Okay,
que
so somebody ran her stats. Okay, this is a video you can go search. Somebody did her stats 2 years ago. She had, let's see, estimated yearly earnings. She had 274,000 subscribers 2 years ago on YouTube. Okay, and this video is in Spanish, so I'm just gonna do the cliff notes.
mismo portal, que lo mínimo que puede generar este canal al mes serían $489 al mes y como máximo podría generar hasta $7,800 mensuales y como pueden ver, el resultado del cálculo cumple con las dos condiciones.
Okay, so he just ran her stats and he says she makes anywhere between $400 to almost $8,000 a month just off of her YouTube channel. Mind you, this was 2 years ago. Her following was a lot less. It was 274. I think it's probably doubled by now, right?
Es decir, se encuentra dentro de un rango válido y creíble y por si fuera poco les voy a mostrar y comprobar cuánto yo estoy generando aquí en mi canal, ya que hay muchas personas que dicen que los cálculos que yo les muestro son mentira y que al día de hoy...
Okay, so to give a good example, he's giving you his stats, right? He makes about $2,000 a month from her YouTube channel, or from his YouTube channel. And he only has 3,000 subscribers. Yeah. Okay. Mind you, remember when she applied for her PPP loans, she told the PPP loan department that she only made $2,200 a month as a social media creator.
También salir en cámara, es decir, grabar videoblog o bien recetas o en lo que ustedes crean. Siempre aquí en YouTube va a haber público para todos. Este dato lo vamos a convertir a pesos mexicanos porque recuerden, mis queridos amigos, que yo me encuentro en México y también muchas personas que me ven se encuentran en México y en los Estados Unidos en pesos mexicanos. Este canal podría estar generando al día de hoy alrededor de 78,295 pesos al mes.
So he did an average. $4,000 average is what he gave her 2 years ago. It's doubled since. So I'm going to make an educated guesstimation that she's making around $10,000 minimum currently on her YouTube channel. Minimum. One platform. So when we're talking about donations, and how much she's donated to this animal shelter, or how much she donates, let's go look up the video about the school. Some of you told me she teaches English now. Let's go look at the school donations that you guys have been telling me about. First day of English class at the kinder.
Good morning from Mexico. The kids in our pueblo started school yesterday. However, today is the first day of English for the kindergartners for this year. And for those of you that don't know, I voluntarily teach English to the kindergarten class here. And I've been doing this. This is now my 3rd year. So today is officially the start of my 3rd year. Oh, I'm going to take you guys with me. So let's go meet the new kindergartners. Okay, I'm leaving my car at the kindergarten because I have to take Dominic.
I have not watched any of this yet, and I just want to ask, is she vlogging other people's kids in these videos? Like, I'm not even there yet, but if she's vlogging these English classes with other people's kids, I just think that's going to be a big problem. I personally, well, let me not get ahead. Let me play the clip.
First.
Why do I ask? Because I was also an English teacher at one point at a private school. Okay. And I made sure not to record students because they're not my kids. Right? They're not my kids. So it's one thing for you to be recording volunteers at the animal shelter, but let's hope she's not vlogging other people's kids
Right there.
and monetizing off of
You
that.
look very nice today. Yeah. Buenos dias. Now it's back to the kindergarten, so I can meet the new kindergartners. I'm so excited. Mane said that there were.
I just want to point something
Oh
out.
my gosh.
I want to point something out that's going to make her uncomfortable. Based off of this footage, we were also able to find her children's school on Google Maps. Yeah.
Something about the kindergarten just makes me feel like I'm home. So home sweet home, guys. So excited. There's Fred. Hello, Fred. No. Saludos les algún día, Mane. Oh, new kindergartners. Okay, guys, I'm done with English class. I didn't get to record for good reason, though. So if any of you know, the first week of kindergarten, I feel like the first week of kindergarten is so hard for a lot of kids. So we have a couple kids that are having a hard time, and I'm not going to record our kindergartners having a hard time, just so you guys know. The other kindergartners did great. They're just our couple.
All right, let's go find some more. You guys mentioned that she is donating to this class, no? I'm trying to find, are there any videos of her donations to the school? If you can hear my son freaking out, he's playing video games. Teaching English. Oh, let's talk
En
about
InDrive
this.
puedes
Looks
elegir a tu
interesting.
conductor sabiendo que está verificado. Por eso viaja seguro y a un precio justo.
Good afternoon from Mexico. So I was not hired on by the school district. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
I'm teaching the kindergartners English twice a week, and I'm doing it as a volunteer, so I'm not getting paid for it. So the way that it came about was that I was talking to Dominic's maestra about donating.
Why do you think it's important for her to mention she's not getting paid? Why did we need to know she's not getting paid to teach English classes?
Books to the kindergarten class, because Fidel and I are going to be donating some books to the class. And she asked if I had time to teach English. Now, we only have a kindergarten and an elementary school in our pueblo. Our junior high and high school students have to go to the next pueblo to go to junior high and high school. And the junior high and high school does have an English teacher. But our kindergarten and our elementary school are not budgeted for an English teacher. Now, she's not asking for a lot of time. It doesn't take a whole lot of time out of my schedule to do it. She offered up all of the supplies in her classroom, which I didn't feel comfortable using because I know that their supplies are limited anyway. So I told her that
And the reason why you didn't feel comfortable using them, Candelaria, is because you know you're making fucking bank compared to them.
I have my own supplies. Buenas tardes. Also, a couple people asked in my post why I don't give like private English classes and things like that. And honestly, it's because I don't have the time in my day to do it. So I work full time with my MBA.
Oh, there's that MBA.
House. I'm studying.
Why can't she just say I work full time? Why do you think she mentions that MBA every fucking chance she gets a chance to? How many times MBA? Can I be honest with you? I never even heard of an MBA until Candace. The fuck does the MBA stand for? What is an MBA? Master's in Business Administration, right? Why the constant need to rub that MBA all over her content? Can't you just say I work full-time from home? No? Can we just say I work full-time? Can you just say I work? I work. Ask herself why she makes mention of that MBA so much. So much that even her audience does it now. She doesn't need to do that. She has an MBA. And this is what I mean with she makes you guys her little billboard to go repeat these things the same way. She donates. She has an MBA. That's how she plants the seed so that you guys go and tell the rest of the world. Candace has an MBA. Why can't you just say I work remotely? I don't have time because I work full time, guys. I don't have time because I work full time and I do content. Have you ever heard her say I do content? I work and I do content. It's that superiority. It's that classism, that elitism. Like, I'm elite with my MBA. You see where I'm going with this? And she constantly repeats the fucking MBA. We got it. We got it, girl. You got an MBA and you work with it. But where was that? You know when she didn't mention the MBA? When they stole her truck and tools. Where was that MBA when they stole her truck and tools? I never heard her say, I'm going to be okay because I have an MBA. And I work and I have an MBA. Do you see where this is going? Y'all like to brag about the MBA until it's not convenient to mention the MBA in this video. Because if I mention the MBA in this video, then I won't get the donations. So MBA when it's convenient, and we don't have a lot of money when it's not convenient. Just like the big Catholic wedding, she didn't mention the MBA can pay for the wedding. You know what else she has? An MBA, NDA. This bitch loves acronyms. Like, read between the lines. If that MBA... Now, how much does somebody with an MBA make? Because I don't have an MBA. I just have a high school diploma, and I do the same thing she does. She's pretty much doing virtual assisting, y'all. What she does, virtual assisting. Virtual assisting. You don't need a degree for it. Okay? How much do you think she makes with the MBA? Because we've just established she makes about $10,000 with her YouTube channel. She likes to remind us she has an MBA, so I can only imagine that somebody with an MBA makes a significant amount more money than somebody without an MBA, right? She can say she works full-time for a US-based company. Doesn't do that either. Because, you know why she doesn't tell you that she works for a US-based company? Because it wouldn't look good. Why do you think I get so much hate and questioning? Because I constantly say I work for a US-based, or I work for US-based companies, or I work for US-based clients. People get mad when I mention that, right? If an American mentions it, they're probably going to get hate too. So there's a reason why she tells you, I work with my MBA. But she doesn't specify US-based clients. You think she works with her MBA for Mexican companies? Probably not. Probably not. Are you doing the blue page? Yes, I am. So make sure to subscribe. I think I dropped a 20% discount for those of you that are in here. I do sell my ass. So people might assume she isn't a scammer channel. If you have an MBA, exactly, it gives you status. It establishes trust within the audience. This is an educated woman with an MBA. She could do no wrong. There's so many reasons why she's constantly MBA. And like, bitch, tatted on you. I have an MBA at this point. The amount of time she mentions her MBAs, I work from home with an MBA. I don't know. It's classism and superiority. She works from home with an MBA, but she's married to her husband that is illiterate. She didn't tell you that, right? She mentions her husband's illiterate when it's convenient. Imagine, that don't make no fucking sense, Candice. You're so proud of that fucking MBA. Why haven't you taken your man back to school so he can learn how to read and write at least? And we talked about this in the earlier video a little bit, but how's a bitch with an MBA end up with a dude that can't even read or write? And she took him to get his teeth fixed, but she didn't take him back to school to at least learn to read and write. She's so proud. Somebody said it's an honor for her to have an MBA. Okay. You think it's an honor for somebody with an MBA to be married to someone that has no education at all? There's something off here. There's something off here. So if you took him back to get a new grill because people were dragging him for it, for his appearance, why wouldn't you take him back? Why don't you give him Spanish classes? What the fuck, bitch? Why don't you give him free classes to learn how to read and write? You don't even have to send him back to school. Ask yourself why this woman with an MBA has been married to this man for over 15 years and hasn't taught him how to read or write. That's actually bothering me a lot. Like a lot. Like a lot. The more I talk about this and the more I think about it. Bitch, take him to kindergarten classes with you. What the fuck? You know why? Because no le conviene for him to learn to read and write. Pero sí le conviene for him to get a new grill so he can be more aesthetically pleasing to her content. Do you see what's wrong with this? We go back to exploitation. She exploits her own husband to a degree, and her children, in my personal opinion. But if your man can't even read and write, and you have a fucking MBA, and you always remind us you have a fucking MBA, well, every time she, chat, do me a fucking favor for this man, please. Every time she tells you she has an MBA, please remind her man can't read or write. Okay? Make her uncomfortable with that fucking MBA. Take that pretty little MBA and teach that man that you're having build a house with his bare hands how to read and fucking write, you selfish bitch. I'm sorry. I'm sounding like a hater, but it just, you know why it makes me mad? That was my mother. That was my mother. My mother didn't know how to read or write either when we went to the U.S. She graduated high school at the age of 45 and I watched her walk. Okay, because in Mexico, she didn't have those opportunities. And my dad took advantage of her. My dad abused her and exploited her because she wasn't self-sufficient, because she didn't have an education. Okay, so this scenario is where I feel le siento un poco de lástima for Fidel, that she's doing the same shit to Fidel. They take advantage of people who come from small towns like that didn't have the privilege of studying. They didn't have the privilege of education. So how the fuck are you going to hold out on your man to at least teach him how to read and write his fucking name? Oh, but your priority was getting him new teeth. Oh, okay. You disgust me. Disgusting. ¿Cómo supiste que no sabe leer y escribir? Court documents. Do you guys want to see them? I'm going to show them to you. How I know he can't read or write, because she called the court when he was in jail, and the court clerk left a note that said, wife phoned in and said the defendant does not speak English and is illiterate and will need a translator. Yeah. She told the court her husband was illiterate. That's how we know he doesn't read or write. El poor rancherito con la greña educada, Fidel del barrio. Oh, wow, she was married to someone else. Yeah, that was spicy. That was juicy on the last live. Y'all want to see it? For those of you, if you weren't here, it was on the last video. Let me show. And I didn't show TikTok, okay? I didn't show TikTok. So let me show TikTok. Please hold for receipts. I'm gonna have to re-airdrop it. In Spanish or English, he's literate. Both. He don't even speak English. Okay? So look. Real quick. These are court documents from 2012 when he was detained on the DUI with her. Okay? I want to show y'all. So, please hold for receipts. On January 11, 2012, the court clerk left a note. Fidel was already in jail, and she said, Fidel Garcia Sanchez's wife phoned in stating defendant is incarcerated at Heber Wasatch County Jail, speaks Spanish and will need an interpreter and is illiterate. Okay? Mind you, she was married to Ferguson on this date, but I can only assume that she called in, or Fidel was married to someone else as well. Okay, so I'm making the assumption this is her. And then, if that wasn't enough, on January 23rd, 2012, she sent in a victim impact statement and restitution statement ahead of his sentencing date. What does this tell me? She was assisting the prosecution in sinking him, okay? And then he gets deported in March. So if you ever question why she never speaks about the first deportation, it's because she had something to do with it. She was in support of his first deportation. That is my interpretation of these court documents. If you're sending in impact statements, if you're sending in restitution statements right on time for his fucking sentencing, that tells me you were in support of his first deportation, and that's why she doesn't talk about it. That's why she only told you guys about the second deportation. Yes, he had assaulted her. He was in jail at that moment for assaulting her. And that's something you don't want to talk about either. But The reason why she probably don't talk about that first deportation, my assumption, and this is jumping ahead before we get the police report, is because she was in support of it. And then he came back, and they got back together. And then she tells you that her world fell apart in 2016 and blah, 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 blah. No, we're not slandering him for being illiterate. We're not. I actually mentioned this earlier in the other live. It's very common for people from small pueblos like that to not have the privilege to study because they're forced as young children to start working to help support their families. So it's very common that people that come from very small towns like that don't have an education and don't know how to read and write because from a very young age they are put to work. And it's a reality. It's why I said it's triggering to me because my mother went through the same thing. And she got her high school diploma in her mid-40s. So there's nothing wrong. The reason why he doesn't read and write, my assumption, is because he was one of those children that was put to work early to help support his family. Okay? But now that he's married to a fucking American with an MBA, how can she justify that she hasn't tried to encourage this man to at least get a basic education, something he was robbed of as a child? And instead she's going to keep putting him to work with his bare hands and exploiting what he can do. There is no how can she make time to buy him new teeth for her channel so people stop talking shit about his drug use, but she's not going to invest a little bit of time that she could teach him. You don't even have to put him in classes. Married to 15 years and you couldn't teach this man to read or write. Oh, okay. Encourage him to go back to school and get an education. You think he doesn't feel inferior that he can't read or write and he depends on his wife for everything, for things like that? Okay, that's where she's taking advantage of his free labor to build her house and putting aside, how many times did she mention in her character letters that he encouraged her, that he was the reason she got her degrees? In her character letter, she talks about how he made sure she went to school. He made sure if it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have been able to get her MBA. And you couldn't help him at least learn how to read and write? Because by the time he was in jail in 2012, when she told the court he was illiterate, they had been together for 4 years. So you see what I'm saying? You think you'd want better for your loved one, for your spouse. I wouldn't be surprised that he paid for the MBA. Not even no Rosetta Stone. I'm sure he knows how to write his name because he needs a signature. Your signature can be anything. It could be a fucking squiggle. You could literally make a heart and your heart can be your signature. It doesn't have to be letters, right? I'm going off of this. 4 years into their marriage or into their relationship, still don't know how to read or write. And does it look with what he's currently been doing for the last 8 years? He's learning how to read and write. Her focus has been on buying him new teeth. He's a grown adult. If he doesn't want to better himself, then that's not all on her. Do you think he's got time to better himself when he's building a house for 12, 14 hours a day? I guarantee. Do you think it was his idea to better himself and get himself a new grill of teeth? Probably not. Whose idea do you think it was to get him new teeth? Why do you think he got new teeth? You think it was just a lifelong dream of his to get new teeth? If he has no ambitions to better himself and not to get an education, who do you think, whose idea? Why do you think he went to get new teeth? And vlog it to boot. You know what? Let's watch the video of his new teeth so we can see how uncomfortable he was. Let's watch the new teeth.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built an app.
Hello from Mexico. Welcome back to our channel. So today we're doing a day in our life vlog Saturday edition. We're starting off in publicity because today Fidel is getting his braces taken off, which is really exciting. He also has a couple implants to get, and the boys are getting their haircuts, and then we'll show you what we're doing with
the whole works. She had this man getting brackets, implants. Did she get him fucking, what are those called? The fake teeth? The, ¿cómo se dicen? You know the thing they put over your teeth?
the rest of our afternoon. So if you like what you're watching, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. Let's show you what our Saturday
dentures,
is like.
veneers. Fuck around, let me find out if Fidel got some veneers.
Hoy es la día, Fidel. ¿Cómo sientas?
Feliz porque ya no voy a tener
Brackets, 2 años de brackets.
She had this man in braces for 2 years. 2 years.
¿Estás feliz?
Sí,
Sí. ¿Nervioso?
un poco.
Un poco.
Okay, come on. What grown man at the age of 40 plus wants to get braces? Or has braces as a priority? ¿Qué albañil conoces that he wants to get braces at the age of mid-40s?
3. Tengo 3 implantes. Pero esto está bien. Sí.
Ya vamos a salir de esto. La verdad que feliz.
Ya vamos a terminar su nuevo
Ya pa' qué, right?
Salgo mucho en tu cuerpo.
Sí, ¿verdad? ¿Y usted?
Está triste.
Está enojado. All done. So crazy to see the difference in Fidel's.
Wait, is a difference in the room with us? La Candelaria getting.
Fidel, all done. So crazy to see the difference.
Okay, well, good for him. I just.
Also, I've had 2 cleanings this pregnancy. Just FYI, if you're pregnant, you lose a lot of calcium. So try and get extra teeth clean.
Hey, Tommy looks a little scared, but he's all good. So he's gonna rest. Diego's still getting his hair.
I want to see the beginning of the teeth journey. I want to see what prompted this man to get braces at the ripe age. A ver, completing Fidels. This has been 2 years. Fidel Fisher has a new smile. Huge thank you to Smile and Care. Well, this was 10 months ago.
Back to our channel. So today, Fidel and me and Damon are in publicity because Fidel is getting the first part of his brand new smile done today. We're really, really excited. He's in there brushing his teeth right now. But we're really, really excited for this. This has been a long time in the making. If you guys have been following this journey to Fidel's new smile. So today...
Oh, we got before pictures in here.
So I believe the top half of his mouth, but I'm not 100% sure if it's the top or the bottom. And...
Bien, ahorita está bien como nada.
A ver, una sonrisa, Fidel.
Nunca había, pues fui muy golpeado, pero no sé, nunca no fui cambio.
Sonríe, sonríe. Sonríe con los dientes. ¿No te gusta sonreír, Fidel?
No, siempre quiero muy, como Fidels.
Muy bien.
Nunca me gustó visitar los dentistas por el mismo, ahora porque me
He says it right there. He just said it. Now because my wife convinced me to. She pressured this man to get new teeth, to do a vlog, to do his... Somebody that you can tell he's very shy and reserved. You can tell he's uncomfortable in this video. Probably all the fucking vlogs they did about this was not his fave. Look at his body language. Look at his... the way he just was like, you know, and I almost feel bad that she did this to him. And then he says... I never wanted to smile because of how my teeth were, and I'm here because my wife convinced me to. He did this because Candace told him, we gotta fix your teeth. It wasn't something that he was probably would have never done if Candace didn't pressure him into it. And why did Candace pressure him into it? Let's talk about why would that be a priority for her to fix her husband's teeth after so many years? She's been with him for many, many years with his teeth the way that they were. But all of a sudden, we're on YouTube now. We're going viral. We're doing interviews. We got to get your teeth fixed. I love you, but we got to get your teeth fixed because people are making comments about you being a druggie and this and that. I saw many comments in the beginning where people would question, you know, especially once the records came out that he did struggle with substance abuse. Right? So it was, let's clean up our image. Let's make you more aesthetic. We got to go get you a new grill.
Pues dentro de 1 año y medio vas a sonreír todo el tiempo, vas a ver.
¿Cómo sientas, Fidel?
Pues,
¿Nervioso?
nervioso.
No necesita. Está genial. Okay.
La Comer. Yo, Candace, you guys got La Comer over there and you don't be going. Look, y'all see La Comer back there? Hey, I love this for you. Candace, how come you never visit La Comer?
¿Cuántos años esperar por eso, Fidel? Porque su bracket son 2 años, ¿no? Sí, ¿verdad? My heck. Can't believe this is happening. Let's go.
Where did the teeth money come from? Sure, YouTube.
Yeah, go get your new smile.
So what are they doing to the new smile? Are they... Oh, wait, she did... Did she go to La Comer in this one?
Gracias. Listo.
I think...
The bottom of his teeth, because she wants to make sure that they sit correctly and they're the right height and that. But, yeah. Top part done.
She did get him, what are they called? Veneers. Or, I don't... Son en español, ¿cómo se llaman? Carillas. Carillas. So, she didn't stop at braces. She said you getting braces, you getting implants, and you getting some carillas.
Pero sí es algo bien.
Es loco. A ver, sorry. No, sorry nomás, loco. Ya. Es very bien. De verdad. So she's not putting in his implants. So where he has the screws, he has...
So I want you to think about how much investment went into his new smile. Not just money, but time. How many different vlogs. It took him a course of 2 to 3 years to get his new smile. All that, and you couldn't get him a high school diploma? You couldn't... Think about how much time went into his new smile and how much profit. Also, there's a return on this. All these videos, monetizing. Somebody said there was some sponsorships. All that shit. But at the root of what? He was uncomfortable during this entire... all these videos. I almost feel bad watching. Like, me dio cosa porque I could tell he was very bashful about his teeth. I was kind of uncomfortable watching him in the vlogs. I'm not going to lie. I feel bad for him. So, again, we're not going to teach him to read and write. But we're going to drag him through a 3-year new teeth journey. Multiple vlogs, multiple visits, multiple drives into the city. Till he has his veneers. We do implants, we do brackets. Think about how much time went into his new smile, right? But we can't teach him to read and write. Oh, okay. You know what this reminds me of? You guys follow Sol Leon? Tell me you know who Sol Leon is? And how she gave a makeover to her husband who was hella old. She got him butt implants. She got him a new hairline. She got him new teeth. She got him new eyes. She got him a new face. Why is this giving Sol Leon? Yes. This is Sol Leon energy. Let me fix up my man because she does content for a living too. Sol Leon is a huge influencer in Mexico. It's giving Sol Leon, bitch. And yeah, she's Roberto. You guys know what I'm talking about. So her ex-husband, mind you, and he ends up leaving her. So Candace, be careful, girl. All this investment you're doing might end up somebody else's man. So Sol Leon gave her he's an older man. He's like 70. Okay, when she met him, he was old as fuck. Okay, she gave him a whole body makeover. Facelift, butt implants, tattoos, hairline, ojera removal, like everything. Like his before and after, you can't even tell that it's the same person. And why? Because he wasn't aesthetically pleasing, and she did content for it. Yes, Sol Leon, Roberto, the one that left her for the younger chick after all that. So she redid him, looks brand new, and then he ends up leaving her for a younger stripper. I love her. She's very entertaining. But yeah, what she just did, the smile makeover reminded me of Sol, the way that she dragged her man around to just make him look nicer for the public. You know, just make him look nicer. And so it'll be interesting to see where this story pans out. The facas, yeah, she sells facas. And her facas are nice. Like, I like her brand, but she's also a very controversial. Find out who killed his ex-wife. Probably him. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff about her. Her story is very intriguing too, but she's a very successful entrepreneur, but she's very controversial, always in a lot of beef and drama, and es muy buchona. Like, she's very llama mucho la atención. You know, I always wonder, like, how did she do it? She got big ass houses, and she's always beefing with that other lady in Dubai. What's her name? Well, you know who I'm talking about, her. Yeah. Anyway, guys, yeah, that's all I have for today. Interesting. So, for those of you that weren't here earlier, we are Diamante, la muñeca Diamante or something else. Diamante de Rubí. We're waiting for the police report, the grammar request. I did receive a notification from the police department yesterday that an interested party filed a objection to those records being released. Who could the interested party be? The victim or the defendant? So, Candace or Fidel. Probably Candace, because we know Fidel can't even read or write. Contacted the police department that is processing the grammar request, and they filed an objection, or they sent in an objection, probably citing privacy. That's really the only reason why they would be able to, what they could object on is the grounds of privacy, because it is a domestic violence incident. So now the police department is going to have to weigh out if her privacy outweighs the public interest in knowing what happened in that domestic violence case. So, yeah. She pulled a Karen card, yeah. Which is interesting. But again, I'll reference you guys to the Taylor Frankie Paul case. She's a public figure as well. And all of her records have been released. All of them. Because once you're a public figure, you kind of give up your presumption to privacy. Your expectation of privacy is a lot lower as a public figure than if you were just a regular person, right? If you were just another, victim of DV or whatever. But, and especially because their story is monetizing at the base of those events. I'm also very interested in seeing what's in the reports. Very, very interested. The objection made me want them even more. Now, I have always known that they're going to be partially redacted because they include victim identifying information. We don't even know who the victim is in the police reports, because we already know. Two, I really just want to know what happened. I want to know what happened, what was said, what was reported. I think the police report contains the rest of the answers to this story. If what she said is true, remember, she's talked about the domestic violence incident. She gave us a story that they were both responsible, that she was part of the problem, and it was not a big deal, and the kid was in another part of the house, and the police just charged him, although she didn't want to. Remember, she specifically said she didn't want him charged. Remember? So if all those things were true, why would she be fighting for that police report to not be released? And so far, the majority of my theories have been correct. As we get deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole, all my speculations have been correct. And one of the first things I asked at the beginning of this series is, why does she never mention that 2012 deportation? Why does she never talk about the first half of their story? Something is there. There's a reason why she doesn't talk about it, and I want to know. And I'm starting to suspect that she was in support of his first deportation. Now, would that change the storyline for you guys a little bit? If she was in support of his first deportation? How would you guys feel about that? And maybe, Candace, maybe you have nothing to worry about. To me personally, yes, it would change things. Because how could you then build a story off of being the victims of the immigration system when at first you were in favor of it? What if she weaponized the status? You know? And I think that's what's there. I think, like, I just really think I'm right. If not, why add more fuel to the fire? If not, why would you be against the reports being released? If the reports are just what she says, we got into a scuffle, blah, 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 blah. Unless they aren't, unless there's something there that we don't want the public to know about. The public already knows about her domestic violence incident. She's already spoke up about it, which again rebukes her expectation of privacy. If you've talked about the event yourself, how can you be requesting the police to keep the incident private? You see what I'm saying? That's why I suspect she's not doing this with legal counsel, and if she is, maybe she hasn't explained everything. But she's spoken to her audience about that domestic violence incident. Matter of fact, before she deletes it, before she scrubs it, let's go listen to what she told the public in case we have forgotten. Okay, we actually haven't done a watch party for this video yet. This is a video that she was forced to make when I exposed her lies in 2023.
Our goal of building our...
Let's do a watch party from the beginning.
Hay muchas ingenierías que no sabemos si saliendo vamos a tener trabajo y la verdad yo dudaba de lo que estaba estudiando. Era un estudiante de ingeniería.
de México. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Recently, someone told a story that wasn't theirs to tell, and they told it inaccurately. So, Fidel and I are here to tell you our story.
I want to stop right there. She says I told her story inaccurately, chat. I'm offended. Did I tell the story incorrectly, or did she tell the story incorrectly? Mind you, she told people he did not have a criminal record. So who actually told the story incorrectly? Ya empezamos mal. The way this video started was zero accountability, and I'm the victim, and I've been exposed, and now I've been forced by somebody else to get on here and tell you things about my life that I shouldn't have to tell you because she told them wrong. Do you see how this video even starts? Zero accountability. Zero.
We do want to cover a couple of things before we get into the reason for Fidel's deportation. The first thing that I want to start out with is an apology to all of you. When we started TikTok, we didn't know where it was going. We had no idea that it was going to grow, and we had a discussion once it started to grow that we didn't want to disclose Fidel's history. We have reasons for doing so, which I'll explain.
Pause. So at some point in their virality, they talked about, we're not going to tell people. We're going to lie about our criminal history. Pay attention to that. She says, we didn't know where it was going to go, but once it started going somewhere, we had a conversation about this, and we both decided we were going to lie. She worded it strategically. She worded it differently. But that's what she just said to you, is we didn't know where this was going to go. None of us know that we're going to go viral or grow as much as we will. But we saw where this was going, and we even had a conversation about it, and we still decided to lie to you.
But on our platform, and I'll put an example on the screen, I was dishonest with all of you about it.
Oh, yeah. So she includes the screenshot that I provided in my video where she said, no, my husband doesn't have a criminal record. He was deported for entering without documents when he was 17.
And while we had our reasons, and while I felt like I had my reasons, at the end of the day, it was still dishonest, and that doesn't excuse it. So I am sorry for not being upfront with you guys. I will tell you that there have been a lot of times in our relationship and the time that I've been with Fidel, and I know prior to that in his life where people have made very snap judgments about him. They haven't given Fidel a chance to show them who he really is.
What are the snap judgments she's talking about? What are the snap judgments she's talking about? People made comments about his appearance, that he looked like he did this, he looked like he did that. And people weren't wrong, right? And the reason people commented that, in my opinion, is because she was selling this like he doesn't drink, he's a hard worker, he does this, and people will be like, no, he looks like he does this. He looks like he does that, right? So she was aware that people were questioning his character. People were questioning, who is your husband? Why does he do this? You know, people were curious about his history. A lot of people had questioned their story. There was people that came to me after that said, I always knew something was off, right?
And in a way, I felt like I was...
His charges were felony DUI, domestic violence, and assault causing bodily injury. And she was the victim of the assault and the domestic violence.
Protecting him. I wanted you guys to get to know him, for the man that I know and love.
Listen to what she just said. I thought I was protecting him. And yes, she did. And what was she protecting him with? Her white privilege. Pay attention to how they're seated. She's in the front, he's in the back. So even in this video, she continues to try to protect him. She continues to try to, with her image, with her narration, with her verbiage, protect from the accountability, protect from the judgment, protect from what he did. Okay, she acknowledges, I wanted to protect him. And think about, what did she protect him with? Her white privilege.
You know, the father of my children, I wanted you to see Fidel and the amazing person that he is. And it wasn't right for me to hide that, but, and it's not an excuse. Since the beginning of our, I guess, initial growth on TikTok and then our other platforms, I think Fidel and I have had very specific goals with what we've wanted to accomplish with our platform. And we have done the very best that we could to use our platform as a force of good. We have, of course, opinions about the immigration system in the United States that we have expressed with you guys. And we have opinions about Mexico and how it's portrayed in the media and just different things like that. We've always wanted to help other families that are like ours. And at the end of this, we want you guys to, well, we ask that you guys watch this and listen to our story. And then at the end of it, we ask that you make up your own mind about it. And if you decide to stay, then we are grateful and we're glad that you're here. There's a fly.
It's not only protecting, it's enabling. It's enabling his behavior. Now, when she tells you this story, and I wasn't planning to do this yet, but we're gonna go ahead and do it today. I'm gonna compare the receipts, and I'm gonna show you how many times she continued to lie to you in this video as she tried to do damage control.
And if you decide that you don't want to be a part of it anymore, we completely understand. But tomorrow, we will continue with our journey, and we will continue sharing our beautiful family. We will continue sharing our beautiful family with you and our life in Mexico. We'll continue to help the families that we've already connected with, and we'll help any family that comes across our content in the future. We will continue sharing our story and our opinion and fighting for those families and individuals who are affected by deportation, and we will continue to show you how beautiful Mexico is. This fly's gonna drive me crazy, but we're gonna keep going. So with that being said, the only other thing that we want to cover is we have never asked for anything from you except for your support and engagement with our platforms. For example, our YouTube channel was started when you guys wanted to help us get to our goal of building our home, and you absolutely have done that in a time frame that we never expected, something we thought would take us 10 years to do. And
it's taken you about 10 years, Candelaria. We're going up on 5 almost.
I've had Cash App and Venmo available for you guys. We have had people who have sent those things for a variety of different reasons, and we've always appreciated it. However, at the end of this, if you decide that you sent something like that for maybe the kids' birthday or something to that effect, and you would like that back, please just let us know. We're more than happy to do that.
This is where she acknowledges that she's been receiving donations for a lot of things. For her house bill, for her kids' birthdays, for the animals, forever. She, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, she may still have, but back then, she used to have her Cash App and Venmo in the description of every single YouTube video. And it would say, some of you guys have asked how you can donate. Let me see if she still has it. Oh, she's removed it since. She's removed it since.
And with all of that being said, now we are going to tell you the accurate story of why Fidel was deported from the United States. So what we're going to do is go through each of Fidel's charges. The first one happened when Fidel was 19 years old. It was not in the state of Utah, it was in another state, and it was a DUI. It was a misdemeanor DUI. Fidel pled guilty to it.
No. She just told you it was a misdemeanor DUI. All right. Here we go, Candelaria. Here we go. Let's pull up the DUI in question, shall we? I pulled it yesterday. She said it was, sorry, I wasn't entirely ready. No, yes I was. I did my homework last night. All right, so she just told you we're going to go down his criminal record. The state would like to introduce Exhibit A. 3rd-degree felony. Can you see? The charges were driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, 3rd-degree felony, open container, drinking alcohol in vehicle, Class C misdemeanor, use or possession of drug paraphernalia, Class B misdemeanor, failure to operate within a single lane, Class C misdemeanor, operating, moving unsafe vehicle, Class C misdemeanor, and driving on a suspended license. Does that look like a misdemeanor to you? He pled guilty to the 3rd-degree felony, and part of his plea deal is 5 misdemeanor charges were dismissed. Okay. Why am I showing this to you? Because I want you to see how even in the video after she got caught lying, she was still lying and trying to minimize the things that he did. Let me play that back.
Now we are going to tell you the accurate story of why Fidel was deported from the United States. So what we're going to do is go through each of Fidel's charges. The first one happened when Fidel was 19 years old. It was not in the state of Utah, it was in another state, and it was a DUI.
She said he was 19. This was in 2018 or 2008. How old was Fidel in 2008? How could he be 19 when she was 19 in 2008? So she just lied to you about how old he was, so to make it seem like he was young and dumb. In 2008, Fidel was not 19 years old. Because how could he be 19 if she was 19 in 2008 and he was about 26 when they met? So how old was Fidel if 1 + 1 is 2? Did she say it was in another state? Yeah, it was in the state of Utah. In fact, it says here it was in Wasatch County. They love Wasatch County. All right. And so she continues to tell you, let's go down his criminal record because these things were told inaccurately. As she continues to tell it inaccurately and downplay it, minimize it, he was not 19 years old. The offense date was on May 10th, 2008. He was born, actually his date of birth is here. He was born in 1980, Candace. You guys can see here, he was born July 14th, 1980. So in 2008, that would have made him 28 years old. Yeah. Okay. But somebody else told this story inaccurately. Gotcha. Okay. Let me start that over.
Now we are going to tell you the accurate story of why Fidel was deported from the United States. So what we're going to do is go through each of Fidel's charges. The first one happened when Fidel was 19 years old. It was not in the state of Utah, it was in another state, and it was a DUI. It was a misdemeanor DUI. Fidel pled guilty to it. He was deported. ¿Y cuánto tiempo tienes con el primer DUI en México?
Solamente un día, la verdad.
Now notice what she just did. She said he was deported for this DUI. This is the first time she's ever mentioned the 2012 deportation. Let me tell you something. Let me go through the history of this DUI. He was not deported for this DUI. He pled guilty to a 3rd-degree felony in the state of Utah, okay, he was placed on probation, and I'm going through the court case here. You can screenshot if you want to. He was placed on probation, suspended prison sentence. He violated multiple times, and it wasn't until 2011 where he was picked up on a bench warrant right here. A bench warrant was issued. Let me see here. January 4th of 2012. It doesn't let me highlight. Defendant was booked. So here, yellow. Okay, right here you will see, oh, it doesn't let me highlight for you guys. Okay. Well, so I'll just narrate it to you. He didn't get deported for this DUI. As she said he had a DUI and he was deported. Do you see the amount of history she jumped past? What actually happened was he was placed on probation. He violated that probation multiple times. And in 2011, shortly before he was arrested, or in 2009, there was a warrant issued for failure to comply with terms of probation. Okay, right here. I know, I'm sorry that I can't highlight it for you. Let me try again. No highlighting allowed. Right here. Right here. In 2009, a warrant is issued for his arrest for failure to comply with the terms of his probation. You see this right here? Right here. Okay. Then he shows up in 2012 because he was booked on that warrant. January 4th, 2012. Mind you, this was after the DV in 2011. Okay, so we're going to fast forward to 2012. He's currently in jail. And right here, he is sentenced. There was a violation report filed. And he is deported in March of 2012. But it wasn't because of this case. It was because at the same time, he was charged in November 2011 with a DUI. Okay, and I've already showed you the history of that DUI. So in her story time, she tells you he got arrested. His first charge is a misdemeanor DUI in another state, which we know is not the truth. It's a felony DUI in the state of Utah. And she says, and he was deported in 2012. But she didn't tell you about that DV.
So he didn't come down and visit his mom. He was left at the border and then immediately returned to the United States, of course, without proper documentation. So fast forward a little bit, Fidel moved to Utah and began working in Utah. Fidel and I met, and in 2008, Fidel was pulled over. I think he was coming back from work.
Aquí los conductores son como tú, les importa la seguridad. Por eso pasan por diversos filtros de verificación. Y para que te sientas más tranquilo, siempre podrás ver la calificación del conductor antes de...
Maybe he has a couple DUIs.
Viaja seguro y a un precio justo.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done and a list view.
The second one, yeah. He was coming back from work and he was pulled over. He was charged with a couple different things. All of those things except for one was dismissed in his case. The first thing that he was charged with was a driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. I'm going to put this up on the screen because I have it on another screen.
Oh, there it is.
It was driving under the influence of alcohol/drugs. He had open container drinking alcohol.
You know what I don't appreciate is that she got these receipts from my video and she don't even give me no fucking credit.
All in the vehicle. He had a use or possession of drug paraphernalia in case of...
Okay, hold up. So maybe he had a second DUI in another state. All right. Let me let her finish.
Yeah, he had rolling papers. Yeah. And he had a fail to operate within a single lane. He had operate, move unsafe vehicle, and driving on a suspended license. Which those of you who are in Utah may be familiar with those driving on suspended licenses. I feel like.
Now I want to point out how in the first case she showed no documents. Okay. She talked about a first DUI. She showed absolutely no documents. But in the second DUI, she's showing you documents and she's being very thorough in elaborating on those charges. Why? Because those are the documents that I exposed. She skipped over the first DUI, the first deportation, whatever. No details. But this one, she's being forced to go charge by charge because I had exposed those documents. But this is the same person that told you that I told the story inaccurately.
A lot of you may know what those are like. So he did plead guilty to a felony DUI. It was a felony because he had a previous DUI. And the open container was dismissed, the drug paraphernalia was dismissed, the failed to operate was dismissed, the operate move unsafe vehicle was dismissed, and the driving on suspended license was dismissed. Fidel went through a couple different things. He missed the first court date on that. He consulted an attorney and then ended up going to court. And he was told that all of the time would be suspended, but he was to follow up with the probation officer. Fidel did not follow up with the probation officer. You're definitely going to see some interruptions in this because Diego and Dominic are downstairs. So Fidel ultimately didn't follow up with the probation officer. ¿Por qué no vamos a hablar con I don't know how to say probation.
Lo que pasa fueron dos errores. Una, no, cuando yo quería hablar eso, nomás fueron dos cosas que no lo hice. Porque el sobre llegó a diferente dirección, y cuando yo hablé con después de pasar todo ese proceso, me dijo, tú, me dijo, ¿por qué no viniste? Si tú pudieras comprobar que ese sobre no llegó a mí, al número 1, yo tuviera otra oportunidad, y yo no me presenté medio mío porque me dijo que si yo no me presentaba me iba a deportar, o sea, me iba ante la cárcel y me iba a deportar. Y toda la razón que no me presenté, pero no fue también un poco culpa mía por el sobre, que no fue la dirección.
So, he missed the first opportunity, right? And he also felt like he was going to get deported, so he didn't go. Fidel and I continued our relationship. We got pregnant and had Diego. And in 2011, the very end of 2011, right before Diego turned 2, we had a domestic violence incident. Let me scroll down.
This is the November 2011 case that she's going to be referencing here.
To that so that I can tell you what those charges were. While we won't get into all of the details of the domestic violence, I will tell you that Fidel and I both had equal parts in that incident. But we were in Utah, so I'll leave that at that. Fidel was ultimately charged with 1 count of assault.
I want to stop right there. She says, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but we were both equally responsible. I hope that matches what's on the police report. And I'll remind you, she has recently filed an objection to those records being released. She said we had equal parts. If that was the case, why would the state of Utah only charge him? Now, I want to take you back to the Taylor Frankie case, which is also based out of Utah. We have seen a very viral case with domestic violence where the police showed up, and it shows you how it was handled. Okay? Shows you how it was handled, how the police at the scene determined who the aggressor was, and based on that, they arrested her, filed charges, all of that. So for her to say that we both had equal parts, however, the state of Utah determined that he was the aggressor, I have a problem with that because she's shielding him from accountability and she is justifying and co-signing domestic violence, in my humble opinion. If what she said is true, this case wouldn't exist. She would have been charged with something. If they both had equal parts, why would he be the only one that was charged? And if they both had equal parts, why did she, on January 2011, where's my highlighter? Please hold. On January 23rd, 2012, into the same case, she sent in a victim impact and restitution statement form. If what she's saying is true, that they both had equal parts, why did she send in a victim impact statement ahead of his sentencing? Does that give that they both had equal parts? If they both had equal parts, why was she not charged with anything? You see what I'm saying? Let's see. I want to, right here. January 23rd, 2012. Received victim impact and restitution statement form. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That the victim, in this case, which is her, sent in a letter to the judge to let the judge know how she was impacted by the crimes that he committed against her. The restitution statement also means she suffered some type of financial damage. perhaps property, perhaps holes in the wall. We can only speculate. So if what she's saying is true, that all I will say is that we both had equal parts, why would you send in a victim impact statement ahead of his sentencing? This tells me you are in support of his incarceration, you are in support of the prosecutor prosecuting him, and you did it strategically right before he was going to plead and be sentenced for it. But all she wants to tell you is that they both had equal parts.
The misdemeanor, and he was also charged with domestic violence incident.
Organizar tu trabajo no tiene por qué ser un caos. Con Monday.com tú recuperas el control. Crea flujos de trabajo como te encanta, 100% personalizable y fácil de implementar. Perfecto para...
Let me scroll down to that so that I can tell you what those charges were. While we won't get into all of the details of the domestic violence, I will tell you that Fidel and I both had equal parts in that incident. But we were in Utah, so I'll leave that at that. Fidel was ultimately charged with one count of assault, Class B misdemeanor, and he was also charged with domestic violence in the presence of...
Pause. I want to read you what the charges are. It's assault, committed unlawful force to cause bodily injury. She said it was just a Class B misdemeanor for assault. Read the verbiage. The verbiage is important. Assault, committed unlawful force to cause bodily injury. That's different than just saying assault, right? He caused bodily injury to her. And then the domestic violence in the presence of a child right here. Let's go on.
The child. I declined to press charges against Fidel. However, the state of Utah...
Really? She declined to press charges, but she's cooperating by sending in victim impact statements and restitution statements. Does that match? I don't believe she declined to press charges. I don't. I think she wanted to press charges, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. As you should. As you should. The problem we have is that you're misrepresenting it now, downplaying it like it wasn't a big deal. I didn't even want to press charges because it was not even that big of a deal. If that was true, you wouldn't be sending victim impact statements ahead of a sentencing.
Still reserves the right to, and they pursued those charges without a cooperating witness, which was me.
Without a cooperating witness! Let me read that again. Let me read that again.
Domestic violence incident.
I love these.
Let me scroll down to that so that I can tell you what those charges were. While we won't get into all of the details of the domestic violence, I will tell you that Fidel and I both had equal parts in that incident. But we were in Utah, so I'll leave that at that. Fidel was ultimately charged with one count of assault, Class B misdemeanor, and he was also charged with domestic violence in the presence of a child. I declined to press charges against Fidel. However, the state of Utah still reserves the right to, and they pursued those charges without a cooperating witness, which was me.
Does this look like a non-cooperating witness to you that sends in victim impact statements and restitution statements ahead of his sentencing? Chat? Chat? Yes or no? Does that look like an uncooperating witness to you? Now, why does she tell you she was non-cooperating? Is because she wants to downplay it to you. It wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't even want this to happen to him. It's looking like you were very cooperative, because I'll remind you that these are not mandatory. These are, when this happens, it's because she reached out to victim services. It actually says it was filed by victim services. So there's a special department in the state of Utah when you're a victim of domestic violence that they are kind of like your advocates, okay? They'll go with you to court. They'll help you file victim impact statements. They'll help you file restitution statements. So she was so cooperating that she was even at the victim services office, having them help her file this into his case. So that's a lie when she said, I didn't want to prosecute him and the state picked this up without my cooperation.
I will tell you also that Diego was not in the room with us. In Utah, if a child is present in the residence, not present in front of the fight or whatever's happening, they still make it domestic violence in the presence of a child. So they could be 3 stories down in the same residence and it's still in the presence of a child.
Okay, so listen to how she just downplayed the charge against the child. So we're going to look up what the dwelling looked like, okay, because the address of where this happened is here. So she pretty much told you he was like 3 stories away. He wasn't there. He didn't witness it, but only because he was in the same building, they charged him with this. So do you guys want to know what the house looked like? Let's be our own judge and see what the dwelling where this happened looked like. And in the court records, it looks to me like a apartment. But let's see where Candace lived with Fidel before this unfortunate series of events. The way she made it sound is that it's like 3 stories high. So one of these little duplexes is where they lived. Right here. 3407 South 200 East. Number 10. I'm willing to bet there are a part right here. Yep. She lived in apartments. The domestic violence incident happened in duplex style apartments. So I want you to take note of how every part of this story she's telling you, she's downplaying it. It wasn't a house, it was an apartment. Okay, it was an apartment. I'm gonna show it here. TikTok, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to go to YouTube for the receipts, but this is the dwelling. This is the address of the incident. So when she begins to address the charge for the child, because I'll remind you that charge, domestic violence in the presence of a child, is advocating that the child that was there was also victimized, right? So when she tells you, they just added that in there because he was in the same house. He could be 3-4 stories away, and just because, but he wasn't even in there. Do you think a child that's in an apartment or dwelling of that size can hear what's going on? So she just downplayed that her child was a victim of this crime as well. Got it.
When we went through all of this, Fidel had an outstanding warrant for not following up with probation for the 2008 case. So when all of this happened, they, of course, found that warrant. Fidel went to court on the domestic violence. Him and I had a discussion. He had a public attorney. In between all of these, we had been consulting with attorneys to figure out if there was a way that we could, ultimately fix Fidel's status in the United States. And of course, it was difficult. We were getting different answers. We unfortunately got taken advantage of a couple of times. It was a mess. It was a mess. And it was super discouraging. And honestly, we stopped trying after a little bit. But back to the domestic violence. So Fidel went to court, and when he went to court, Fidel and I had made a decision. The attorney told us you can stay and fight it, but ultimately you're still going to be deported at the end of it. And so Fidel pled guilty because he didn't want to try and fight it. He wanted to just be deported. So he didn't fight it. He was found guilty of it, or he pled guilty. And then they moved him to the other county where the DUI was. And at that county, he was sentenced to serve a certain amount of time, and then he was turned over to immigration and
6 months. He had to serve 6 months on the DUI.
Ultimately deported. He was deported. He was here in Mexico for 3 months.
Now, she skipped over the fact he served a year in federal prison. Did you notice? She just told you really quickly he got moved, and then he got deported. But she forgot to tell you that he served a year in federal prison for unlawful reentry. Do I need to show you again or can you just take my word for it at this point? Because I've shared those records so many times and I didn't have it ready. Let me see. So she skips over the fact that he was prosecuted by the federal government for unlawful reentry, and he served a whole year in prison. Now, why would she skip over that important fact? I don't know. I just think that's crazy, Like, that's a long time to serve. Right here. He was charged by the federal government for unlawful reentry, and ultimately this case resulted in him being sentenced to 12 months and 1 day in federal prison.
That was actually the last time that Fidel
Vas, 5 boletos. Ingresa el
3 meses, no? That was actually the last time that Fidel got to see his grandfather. He hadn't seen his grandpa since he was 17, and when he came back here, he got to spend time with his grandpa, and then he returned to the United States.
Oh wait, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. She's talking about the first deportation. Sorry, Candace, we're jumping ahead. He hadn't served prison time yet.
He actually lost his grandpa, so we always it was a really, really terrible situation, but we tried to find kind of a bright side, not bright side, but a positive in it, and that was that Fidel got to spend time with his abuelo that time.
Yes, just to clarify, she was married throughout this entire story she was just telling you. She was married to Ferguson. So, she talked to you about how we were trying to figure out how to avoid his deportation, this and that. She left out that she was somebody's wife during that entire story time. Because she divorced Ferguson 1 month after his first deportation.
Pero yo estaba chiquito, entonces tenía que ver por Diego porque pues teníamos que seguir nosotros con, bueno, yo más que nada tenía que seguir porque no, mis padres me enseñaron a no dejar a nuestros hijos tirados y pues para mí pues mi Diego era lo más importante y por eso me tuve que regresar otra vez para atrás porque yo quería estar con Diego y ver su crecimiento de mi hijo. Entonces mi abuelo me dijo, quédate aquí, ya no te regreses, y yo le dije, no, tengo que cuidar de mi hijo. Y me tuve que regresar otra vez, no lo pensé y me regresé a cuidar a Diego, a ayudarle a Candice para poder sacar adelante a Diego. Y no me arrepiento de eso porque ahora tengo a Diego conmigo a un lado, también a Candice. Entonces eso me dio, no me importó regresar otra vez, saber si algo me pasaba o cualquier cosa, pero por mi hijo, mi abuelo me dijo no te regreses, y entonces me tuve que marchar otra vez para atrás. Pero hoy que estamos aquí de regreso, la verdad que, pues, no es como la vida para mis hijos, pero yo estoy feliz de que tenga a Candice y a Don.
So he's just narrating how after his first deportation, he went back because of his son. That we hope is his son.
Came back, we fought like hell for our marriage. Nosotros chingases, por nosotros matrimonio, por nosotros familia.
That's right, she said that funny. So she says they fought like hell for her marriage. Bitch, it hadn't even started. You weren't even married. You were so fine for Fergie. Let me play that again, okay? She said we fought like hell for our marriage. Hold on, Candace.
So that year after Fidel came back, we fought like hell for our marriage. Nosotros chingases, por nosotros matrimonio, por nosotros familia. We fought like hell for our family, for our marriage. We wanted to do better. We wanted to be better. We wanted to make it work. We wanted our family.
They weren't even married during this time. She's telling you she fought like hell for her marriage. She didn't marry him until 2016, y'all, after the second deportation. So she's telling you, after he came back, we fought like hell for a marriage, and they weren't even married yet. She was still married to Fergie. She was still married to the first husband when he went back. Or wait. She divorced him in 2012. Maybe to get married. So when she says she fought for her marriage, which one, bitch? Which one were you fighting for like hell? Fergie or Fidel? We need you to specify which marriage you were fighting for.
Together, and that's what we accomplished. Honestly, that's what we accomplished. So that brings us up to 2016. In 2016,
stand by what I said. She's telling you we were fighting for our marriage, but they weren't even married until after 2016. That don't make no sense. So, yeah, I wasn't wrong when I said, bitch, what the fuck? Because she's telling you he came back and we fought like hell for our marriage. What I think happened is he went back and he fought like hell to take her from the first husband. That's what I think happened, including the family. Because after he was deported in 2012, she was hanging out with Fergie's family, with their child. Do we need those receipts? So after, look, this is why I think it's important to show these, and we're like, why do you care what she was doing? She leaves out that after his first deportation, she was hanging out with her ex-husband's family with the kid. Right? So she talks about we were fighting like hell. Let me show you what she meant when she said we were fighting like hell. And that's why I asked which one? Which one? Because according to your ex-husband's sister's Facebook, you were hanging out with them until, oh, I gotta save this file. I know you guys have seen him. Hold on. Hold on, let me log into my email. While I'm pulling, please hold for receipts. You know, these receipts hit a little different as I'm comparing them, as I'm dropping them in her timeline. Okay. So when she talks about how hard they were fighting for their marriage, the state would like to introduce. So she just gave you a timeline, right? He got deported in 2012. She tells you. The first deportation is in March of 2012. And she tells you he came back 3 months later and we were fighting for our marriage. In December of 2013, her ex-husband's sister-in-law begins posting selfies of how they are besties. In November of 2013, she's having family dinners with her ex-husband's sister and brother, and I can only assume that the ex-husband was there, otherwise why is she hanging out with her siblings? In December of 2013, her ex-husband's sister tags her and says, "As your best friend, I swear to always pretend to be your lesbian lover when you're getting hit on." In May of 2014, the sister is tagging the dog, the Thor dog. In May of 2014, Candace is helping her with her divorce. So you see what I'm saying? So this timeline, choca, when she says that he was deported, he came back 3 months later, and we were fighting for our life. We were fighting for our marriage. Really? Or were you doing swim dates with your ex-husband's family? Or were you having family dinners with your ex-husband's family? You see? She was super besties with, you know, with the sis. All right. Let's continue.
A story that most of you are familiar with from our channel if you've seen it. Fidel was at work. They were moving tools from one job site to another job site. The car was stopped. Fidel was not driving. The officer said he needed to verify that they weren't stealing the tools. They were in a company vehicle. And
so now she's jumped ahead to 2016. And to the story she sold to all the news outlets. That he was stopped on his way to work. And she never mentioned that during this time he had a warrant for his arrest when she initially told this story.
Her ID and Fidel couldn't produce one. And when Fidel gave them his name, that's when we found out that there was a warrant out for Fidel. Utah has a law that when somebody is charged with a crime, I don't know exactly how it works, they leave an open warrant. If they're charged with a crime and then deported, they leave an open warrant. And that open warrant basically is there, I guess, as a fail-safe for Utah.
No, Candace, that's not actually how it works, and it's not a law. The reason why there was a warrant for his arrest is because he had failed to complete the terms of his probation. And when you get deported, being deported does not exonerate you from your liability to the state for the crimes that you committed prior to your deportation. So she makes it seem like it was standard. He was declared a fugitive from parole. That's why he had a warrant for his arrest. Do you guys want to see the probation report? And I have a hard time believing that they didn't know about this. Okay, she tells you it was just standard. So in his probation, in his case for his DUI, okay, a probation report was filed in 2014, July 2014. Okay, do you want me to read it to you? It just says, comments. Upon last report from this agency, the bench The bench issued a warrant for the defendant's arrest. As of the date of this report, they have not been arrested, nor have they turned themselves in over the last year. Their whereabouts remain unknown, and their status is still considered fugitive. It is a policy of adult probation and parole to request the court close any fugitive case that has exceeded 1 year without resolution. Should the defendant be located and subsequently appear before the court, we respectfully recommend that probation be revoked with the original sentence or a period of jail deemed appropriate by the bench. So she just told you it's just the law. That's how it works. It's normal for them to issue a warrant for their arrest after their deportation. No. What happens is he was out of compliance with his probation and he had been declared a fugitive, which is why that warrant of arrest existed. Context is important. Do you see the pattern in how she's consistently downplaying everything down to the warrant? And supposedly they didn't know about it. But he knew he was on probation, right? She knew he was on probation. You think it just disappears? No. This is where she doesn't tell you. He was on felony probation and he was a fugitive at the time that he was stopped. And that's what she should have been telling the news stations. Do you see the difference that it makes? He was just on his way to work. He's a hard worker working 7 days a week, 12-hour days. And the real context is that he is a fugitive from adult probation and parole when he was stopped. Does that make a difference, chat? Does that make a difference when somebody's telling you a story that they were just a hard worker that was trying to move the tools from point A to point B? He didn't have identification, and then the cops ran his name and they saw that he had a warrant that's just issued out of procedural process instead of adult probation and parole had declared him a fugitive in 2014. And in the original story she talks about how they targeted him. The original story she told that I've already shown in the part 1, she made it seem like he was targeted. Because why were they checking where he was going? You guys remember that? Yeah. So you see how this context is very different to the records.
So that they can find out if you come back into the state of Utah after you've been removed from the country or removed by immigration. We had no idea that was in place. And so when Fidel gave him his name, they ran it, they found the warrant, they took Fidel into custody. Fidel had to go to court on the DUI from 2008. The judge gave him the rest of the sentence to serve in jail. Fidel served that in jail, and then he was turned over to immigration. And when he was turned over to immigration, the U.S. Marshals actually called me. And because at the time we were already married. We got married while Fidel was being held on that DUI warrant for failure. Well, the warrant was for failure to, fulfill it or whatever. So
the warrant was for a felony DUI.
Oh, they called me and they said the United States government is charging your husband with felony reentry, and it was the U.S. Marshals. And our world was already spinning out of control at this time. Fidel and I had already discussed moving to Mexico. Diego and I had got our passports, and we had no idea that was going to happen. That was something that the president at the time was pushing very hard on. And that's what they were doing. They were cracking down on things like that. And Fidel had, other previous re-entries into the United States. And so he very much got hit with that. We went to Fidel.
Do you think the U.S. Marshals gave her that courtesy call? Do y'all really think the U.S. Marshal was like, oh, let me make sure the wife knows he's being charged? Yeah, I call it out.
Went to court in federal court. He went to federal court in Utah. The letters that I read to you, those were the letters that my family wrote on Fidel's behalf. Our priest wrote on.
Wait, did she read them to her? Did she ever read them to you guys? These are the letters we read that were terrible letters, by the way.
Fidel's behalf. Members of our community wrote on Fidel's behalf, and a majority of my family was sitting in that courtroom when Fidel was charged and ultimately sentenced. He did plead guilty to it. We informed the judge that we were, moving to Mexico. That was our plan. We provided our passports, Diego and I. Diego was also in court.
The asada and onions letters.
We provided all of that, and we asked for him to be released to immigration so that he could be deported. The judge very much made an example of Fidel. She wanted to give him 11 months, but Fidel's public defender asked for 12 months and a day so Fidel could receive good time. And he was then given...
Let me tell you why they gave him 12 months and a day. Because any sentence over 365 days is considered aggravated. Oh, Candace, you're such a fucking liar. Under immigration law, any jail sentence or prison, you guys can Google this, any jail sentence or prison sentence over 365 days is considered an aggravated. The reason why they gave him that is to be able to classify him as an aggravated felon so they can give him a permanent bar. Okay? Has nothing to do with they wanted to give us a break and blah, 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 blah. Do you see the constant downplaying and like, oh, the judge called me and oh, the marshal and oh, and they cut us a break? It's crock of shit. The reason why they gave him 366 days is to classify him as an aggravated felon. And that allowed them to give him the permanent bar. Anything under 365 days is not aggravated. You're welcome.
12 months and a day. They took him, he was in a couple different federal prisons because they kind of moved them around a lot, but ultimately landed in Texas. And he was in Texas for 7 months. And then he was released and deported. When he was deported, he was given a permanent bar from the United States. If you talk to an immigration attorney, they will tell you that a permanent bar is not exactly a permanent bar in that sense. There are waivers that you can file. You can, work on getting things.
Hold on. There was a screenshot one of you sent me where she had explicitly told her followers that he didn't have a permanent bar. Where is it? Where is it? I think it got emailed into me. The reason why I want to show the screenshot where at the beginning of her story, she was specifying that, oh, here it is. Here it is. Please hold. It's loading. The reason why I want to show you guys these very specific lies that were not necessary is in the beginning of her story. Real quick. Boom. You just listened to her give a story time about his permanent bar. But in the beginning of her story in 2021, when people would ask her, are you guys ever going to come back to the US? Her response was, we could go through the process because he isn't on a ban, but we are happy here. We aren't interested in going back. This is a perfect example of the way she romanticizes her story through lies. Why do you need to specify he isn't on a ban when he actually is on a ban? You see what I'm saying? We could go if we wanted to, but we don't want to. We don't want to because we're happy here. So he did in fact have a ban when you told this follower that he didn't have a ban. And now you're telling them, now you're acknowledging the ban because you were exposed. This is the way that she has romanticized glamorized, glazed her story like we're here because we want to be. We could if we want to, but shit's for the birds. We're happy here. The correct answer for this, which would also bring awareness to the immigration topic, is he has a permanent bar for illegal reentry, and we don't have the choice right now because she doesn't. At least back then he didn't, right? So the constant lying to her followers to glamorize the story, like we're here because we want to be, bitch, be so for real. With 2 deportations, that type of a history, an aggravated felon status, he can't go back.
Expunged from your record and things like that. We came down, okay, 4 días, ¿no? Después tu deportación, sí. Nosotros aquí como 4 días.
Después.
Ya.
Entonces acá en México.
Por 2 semanas.
Por 2 semanas. Porque queríamos ver si podemos empezar aquí.
Sí, es trabajo por nosotros, por el Diego.
Y sí, de tu para los estados como a 2 semanas. Cuando pensé que no iba a regresar con los chavalos, porque no te iba a gustar aquí, no le iba a gustar a Diego. Pero después de 2 meses, 3 meses regresaron para acá.
Yeah, we came back in 3 months.
Mandaron sus cosas, la verdad que.
Yeah. And we've been here for 6 years. Fidel and I have had a lot of discussions about the permanent bar, and we've talked to a lot of attorneys that we trust about it, and we know that we can fight. And we know that that is an option. We know that it wouldn't be an easy fight and that it wouldn't be a guarantee, but we know that we can fight. But we are very, very happy in Mexico. We love our life here. We don't want to go back to the United States. That's not something that we're interested in doing. And we aren't willing to go through the financial fight of that. We're not willing to go through the emotional fight of that. Right now, our family is happy and healthy and together, and it's honestly all that we could ask for. So that is Fidel's entire criminal history in the United States, and the reason that he was ultimately deported.
Oye, una pregunta rápida. ¿Has pensado en
So whenever people jump into this mid-season and they're like, she already told us. She already made a video about it.
Pues sí, entonces como ustedes ven ya, mi esposa decidió saber, vimos lo que le platiqué, todo lo que pasó. Entonces ya, bueno, yo ahorita lo que les digo a todas las personas, les pido disculpas a todos los seguidores por lo que pasó en mi pasado. Yo la verdad que de esas experiencias he tenido muchas cosas. Ahora que después también con mis hijos, yo también he sido una persona a lo mejor no muy perfecta, pero yo amo a mis hijos y a mi esposa. Entonces sí he cambiado muchas cosas, la verdad, aunque no lo crean, después de que llegó un niño al mundo. Entonces eso fue las primeras cosas que me hicieron cambiar muchas cosas, y hemos echado chingazos al matrimonio, porque hemos tenido momentos también bonitos, momentos que nos han duros, pero hemos salido adelante. Eso no nos ha detenido, y hasta ahorita seguimos juntos y lo seguiremos, porque tenemos 2 hijos muy hermosos y seguiremos trabajando para ellos. Yo ante todo pues, les pido disculpas a todos los seguidores. Espero que me den una oportunidad de demostrarles que las personas también podemos cambiar. Yo he cambiado muchas cosas, he cambiado mucho. Entonces pues también tienen derecho a juzgarme, pero también hay cosas buenas que hoy en día le agradezco también a mi esposa, porque he cambiado muchas cosas. Entonces pues gracias a mi esposa por aguantarme, soportarme estos años, y a mis hijos. Entonces pues yo aquí procuro para adelante, para atrás ya no hay regreso. Entonces las cosas que pasaron en el pasado se quedaron en el pasado. Yo ahora miro hacia enfrente y trato de ser una persona mejor, y hablo con mis amigos también de las cosas que hice o como que hice con mal. Entonces le digo
So I like that. The only thing that I do like is that he spoke up, at least at the end. He was very apologetic, saying, give me a chance. I've changed. The birth of my son changed me a lot, which
for who we are now, and not our past mistakes. We are human beings. We have past mistakes, but we have definitely shown you how much we have fought for our family and how much we've changed and grown, and you know, our beautiful life here that we are incredibly thankful for every single day. So we appreciate each and every one of you listening.
Okay, that's enough. Hi, Bestie. I just held you for the wheel. Thank you. Actually, let me call out my wheel entries really quick. I have Jessica R, Marisela N, Maria, Vanessa, Veronica, Lily, Rosa, and Franda. Thank you, besties. Did he take accountability, or did he just apologize because they got caught lying? Yeah, there was no acknowledgement to what he did, and yeah. Again, the body language in this video is very telling. Just the fact that she's sitting in the front and he's in the back. She's always in the front. She's in charge. She's in the front, both physically, mentally, everything, right? She's the brand image representing his story. And, right, they apologized in the same video that they downplayed absolutely everything. We were both equally responsible. I was an uncooperating witness. It wasn't even a big deal. The baby wasn't even in the room. He wasn't 3 levels away, although we live in a fucking apartment duplex. You see what I'm saying? The entire video was a constant downplay of the events that took place. So when we talk about people can change, how do people change when we're enabling behavior, when we're justifying, when we're shielding from accountability, and when we refuse to acknowledge the things that we did? You can be sorry. You can be sorry, but this gave me, I'm sorry that we got caught. I'm sorry because we got caught, and now we're here and we're having to make this video. This doesn't give me... And then when this happened, anybody that questioned why did you lie was blocked. I remember a lot of you, yes, he DV'd her. He assaulted her. I remember after this came out, there was a lot of people that were like, I just genuinely asked her why she lied, and then I got blocked. Anybody that questioned and didn't just kiss her ass and it's okay, Candace, blocked. So where was the real accountability when her audience wasn't allowed to ask questions? Her audience wasn't allowed to express frustration. Her audience wasn't able to say, what you said made me scared that my husband would get picked up on his way to work. There was no accountability to her audience. It was a quick apology and you're with us, or we leave you behind and we're moving on and it doesn't matter. Is that actual accountability to the audience that she made multiple false willing statements? No, that's not accountability to your audience. That's not accountability. That's, I'm here because I have to be, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore after this. And if you ask me any questions, bye. People that had donated, people that had engaged, people that were her genuine followers. Yeah, I'm sure she was trying to weed out the trolls. Just like currently, if you leave anything negative, blocked. So how are you monetizing off of this community but not allowing them to have questions about your story? I'll leave that to you as an audience. It's giving, this was damage control. That was damage control, and she was forced. So when there's people that jump into the story mid-season, they're like, she already made a video, she told us about it. You don't know why she made that video. It's like it's like when you get caught cheating and you're sorry because you got caught. How many times have you found your man cheating and all of a sudden he's sorry and he loves you and he's crying, but he wouldn't have done that if he didn't get caught? Same shit. They got caught cheating. They're sorry because they got caught cheating. Otherwise, they would have kept cheating and they would have kept lying. And she, to this day, has kept lying because now we're lying about the PPP loans. The behavior never changed. And why didn't it change? Because she was forgiven like that. You guys didn't hold her accountable for lying. Her audience didn't hold her accountable for lying. So she continued to do it. That's why she's continued to do fraud in so many different ways. From the PPP loans to the LLC. God knows what she's done behind the scenes that we don't know about. Right? So when you guys are questioning how could, like, the PPP loans, well, why did it happen? How did she so boldly get on these news interviews and tell lies? Because she knew nobody would hold her accountable. How can she be held accountable if she blocks any genuine questions? Where's the accountability? What if we want to know what did happen? What did happen with the DV so we can make decisions on whether we want to keep supporting? We're not going to talk about that. We're going to block you, and we're going to make sure nobody else can pull the records. Because in present day, she has objected to the release of the police records that contain the details of the domestic violence. And if things were as she just told us, it wasn't a big deal. The baby was over there. We were both equally responsible. I was an uncooperating witness. Then what's the big deal about the police report coming out? Unless the police report doesn't match the version of events that she gave you in this video. And then she's going to be in some hot shit because allegedly this video was her being honest and apologizing. But what if she continued to lie in this video? What if in this video she kept lying to you? It would throw out the apology. It would throw out that she told us what happened. What if she continued to lie to you in this video? Would that change things? Probably. Because then it would shine light on the fact that this video was just damage control and she wasn't honest. Even after getting caught, she kept lying. Why can't you get the police reports? We're in the process. Ariana, thank you so much for your Venmo for the Starby Wheels. I have received your entry. So I filed a grammar request, which police reports are public record. They're presumed to be public records. Anybody can submit a request for a police report. Okay. She filed an objection. She sent the police department an objection to those records being released. An interested party in the records can request that they be kept private. So now the police department has to determine if her need for privacy outweighs the public interest need to know in what happened in these events. What I suspect will happen is they will release a redacted version of the police report, which is very customary in domestic violence cases. They will redact the victim information. They will redact the child information. They redact all that anyway if you're not a part of the case. So she told the police department something that the police department is now weighing out. And when it comes to grammar requests, that's the only thing that's at stake. The only thing that's at stake is the individual's need for privacy larger than the need for the public to know what happened. This case does have a large weight of public interest because she's a public figure and he's a public figure. Not only are they public figures, but they are monetizing at the root of these events. They're monetizing off of his deportation that is linked to this domestic violence incident that involves authorities. It involves how authorities responded to this incident. So I believe we have a very strong case to be able to obtain those records. Very strong. Because she's a public figure and he's a public, and mind you, the request was submitted for his records, not for hers. We don't need to know anything about the victim. We want to know what was alleged. And then it makes it an even heavier case that he pled guilty, he was convicted, and the case has been adjudicated. So I see it very difficult for her to argue to keep these records private. There are times when the police will not release records if the investigation is still ongoing, if there is a bigger benefit to keeping the records private than public. But remember that the records are presumed to be private. So you have to overcome that presumption that there's a need for privacy that outweighs the public interest to know what happened during this incident. So yo la veo muy difícil for her to win. But it is a procedural process that is available and that the police department has to take into consideration when they are determining what they will release and if they will release. Two things. I suspect that we will receive a redacted version of the police report, which will block out victim identifying information. And that's what the police department is currently doing. They are vetting which information to release in whole or in part. If this request gets denied, I intend to appeal. However, Somebody else could file a request and she would need to object individually to each request. She can buy herself time. In the big scheme of things, I don't see her being successful in these records being suppressed. Also, this confirms to me that the records exist. The police department letting us know that, hey, we have received an objection, so we're weighing out, tells me that the records are there. Otherwise, they would just say, we don't have the records, right? So and at first, I wasn't sure if they would have them because it's been so long. I'm not going to don't inundate the police department. I'm not going to tell you to go do that. I'm just telling you, hypothetically speaking, what could happen what our options are, because I know that you guys have a great interest in this police report as much as I do. So she is behind the scenes working hard overtime to keep her past concealed. And I think that just makes us question it even more. Why? Why work so hard to conceal these things if you already talked about them? If you told us it was an equal part, it wasn't a big deal, the baby was here, the baby was there. There's something she's hiding in those police reports. Is my personal humble opinion. I've been saying that those police reports will be kind of what pieces everything together. And I suspect that she was in support of his first deportation, which is why she never talks about it. So she's been kind of quiet on social media, hasn't said much, but per usual, she's watching, she's behind the scenes, and she went as far as to reach out to the police department to object to the police department releasing that record. I don't know if she had knowledge that they would alert the requester that an objection was received, but they did. And I also don't know if she realizes that that objection is now public records as well. That objection that was sent in, probably through written correspondence, is also available through a grammar request. So she's gambling a lot here. In a best case scenario, she wins and they don't release the records, and then we will re-strategize. In a worst case scenario, they release not only the records, but also her objection. And I just think it's going to look even worse for her. That's why I don't know if she's thinking this through, if she's thinking this far ahead, and she's just trying to, panicking, damage control. I don't want these things to get out. The DV was in 2011. Yeah, if I was his family, I would want to know what actually happened, because that DV is the reason he ended up in ICE custody. All right, because are we polling the police report where he assaulted her in 2011? Or we're trying, that is, but she's filed a formal objection with the police department so that they don't release them. So I already have my appeal ready. Okay, I'm ready. I've done I've done some studying. I didn't have the knowledge that you could object, that you could object to the release of public records, but it is a procedural step. So the police department has told me that they will need an additional 5 days to process my request and give me a formal response. So hopefully sometime next week we hear back from the police department as to whether they have decided to release or retain the records. And if they retain them, I will be filing an appeal. It is public record. Yes, it is. It's a presumption that they're public. So her objection has to outweigh the public interest need to know. Now, let's think about this logically. She is a public figure. He is a public figure. And I'm assuming that this was filed on behalf of the victim. Okay, we're not asking for victim information, and I've even said feel free to redact whatever pertinent information to protect the victim. I want to know about the offender, right? So what I'm suspecting was asked is, please don't release this because it would cause harm, and I need privacy for my family. I'm certain it was filed on behalf of the victim. So my rebuttal to that is, redact the victim information. We don't want victim information. We want aggressor information. And then being a public figure, where is your expectation of privacy for these events? If you're a public figure that is monetizing off of these events, that has built a platform off of these events, the deportation is directly tied to that TV and the way that the police department handled that incident, right? So from a neutral perspective, you tell me if her privacy is going to outweigh the need for the public to know what happened. In my personal opinion, and perhaps bias, I don't think so. I think the fact that they're public figures monetizing off of this in itself is damning, and there's no expectation of privacy. So the police department can release the records with redactions. It can decline to release the records as well, which would really surprise me if they did, because of what the records are being sought out for. And then we would appeal. It goes to a higher instance. And then I think if she's able to suppress those records, it's only going to make the public want to know more. And that police department's going to end up inundated with requests for those records. That's what I see happen. Look at Taylor Frankie Paul. What about the privacy of the children she films? Yeah. Public records are public records, but she's trying to make them private because of her privacy and whatever the fuck. But again, she's talked about these events herself. So it's giving release the files, Candace. Release the files. It's giving Epstein files. It's giving release the fucking files. Again, she's talked about this incident herself on this video. So in the event that we need to appeal, trust me when I tell you that my appeal is ready. And I think it's an interesting process to go through. Educational. Can you request from another country? No. Oh, from another country? Yes and no. Now, I won't give you details, but I will just tell you that I personally am not moving by myself. So Annie doesn't have a right because it doesn't make you go, okay, well, a concerned American citizen likely does. Right? Yeah. I've thought ahead. Trust, I've thought ahead. We are independent reporters building a case on this public figure. And there's many concerned American citizens that would want to know what happened at the root of this case. So again, I don't think she has thought some of these things through, such as the objection. So in the event that our process, I'm sure there will be many more that are going to be asking. And then the PPP fraud. God damn, Candace, you just have so many files. So many files we're trying to get released. Release the Fidel files. Because again, if what she said is true, what's the big deal? If what you said is true about we were just hustling and we were both equally responsible, what's the big deal about the police report? It's not going to tell us anything we don't know already. We already know your kids' names. We already know where you live. We know where you live. We know your mama's name. We know your daddy's name. We know probably everything about Candace at this point. So what could the police report contain, Candace, that we don't already know, unless it contains something we don't already know? Can you see the PPP docs online? Yeah, that's where we got some of the records, was online. Hold on, let me get my kids to turn on the music because it's gonna chop out my YouTube, can you hear Billie Eilish? YouTube, can you hear Billie Eilish? I can still hear Billie Eilish. Bessie said, this is for the appeal. Thank you, Bessie. Anyway, Caramillo, thank you so much. Thank you for the $20 super thanks for our appeal. See, Candace, if you're mad at me, blame my audience because they be doing shit like this, and that's why we keep on going. It gets the people going. A ver. Here, roses are pretty. They're dying. I need new ones. I need new ones soon. What's the legal age for marriage in Utah? 18, but we were entertaining that she was a child bride because you can get married at 16 with parental consent. Thanks for the investigation. Thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate your super thanks. Bestie said we need that appeal. Started to topic. Where's your workout top? It's from a local boutique here. Yeah. Spin time tonight is at 9 is what I scheduled it for on my YouTube. Oh my god, I hate when these lives go so... How the hell do we end up on these lives for like 3, 4, 5 hours? We just be having a fucking ball on here. This is so bad. Ugh. I get why you guys tell me I'm obsessed. We are. We're obsessed. We need to get to the bottom of this. We're too deep to turn back now. Okay, I really feel, Candelaria, if you just let us get a hold of the police report, that will be the ending, the big bang. Y ya te podemos soltar. Just give us the police report, Candace, and we'll let it go. Or Abby, give us a story time. Somebody fill in the blanks for us. But we're too invested. We're too invested. We need to know what happened. Ariana, thank you so much. You just sent me a $10 super thanks for more Cheeseman time. Oh, we getting that appeal in, baby girl. So when I got when we got the email from the police department, I did respond. We did respond, and we did tell them, you know, we elaborated on the need, the public interest in the case. Release the files. We're at the point for no return. Yes, we need to know. And here's the thing. So I'm trying to think of backup. I'm actually thinking there's a couple more government entities that I can try to get those records from. I'm not going to tell you which ones because then Candelaria is going to go and file another objection to it. She's been watching a little closely. I admit I overshared, so now she's making it take longer. Okay? She's been watching us piece things together and find which county and where. I suspect she's been calling ahead to certain places, including the courthouse, because I emailed the courthouse last week to get a hold of additional divorce records. I have yet to hear back, and they usually get back to me very quickly. I suspect Candelaria is calling as many places as she can ahead of time to try to block the release of any further records. Exhibit A, the police department. Because I wonder what that call looked like. Excuse me, Mr. Officer. Somebody is trying to request the police record of this date, and blah, 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 blah. I want to oppose to you guys releasing them. And here's the reasons why. It took me 3 days to get through the 5-hour live and jump straight to the one. You can file for release of court records online. If I need to, I can file a motion in the criminal case for the release of the records. We could take it all the way to court, besties. We can file a motion to compel. This goes way farther than she realizes. They're public records for a reason. But if the police department says no, then we take it to court. And we file a motion in front of the judge. And let the judge decide why they should or should not be released. This goes. If there's one thing about me you should know, especially when I hyperfixate, and especially when it has to do with court matters, I take it to the very, very top. Okay, it's why I took my baby daddy's fucking BMW. And it doesn't help that it's in the state of Utah. Okay, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I would question if I would want to, take it farther, because it's only going to embarrass you more, in my personal opinion. And it's only going to make the public want to know more. Why are you trying to hide this police report? What's in it that you don't want us to know? Someone said we can file at the Supreme Court. It's given Epstein files. Because weren't the Epstein files requested through a grammar report? Someone Google this for us. How did the Epstein files get released? What's in it for you digging into people's lives? Cheeseman bucks. We're entertained. Cheeseman. Bestie, somebody show him what's in it for us. What's in it for me? Why am I here? Oh, Congress? Okay, so maybe not. Maybe Congress won't. What's in it for me? Cheeseman bucks, monetization, entertainment, engaging with my audience. I mean, the list could go on. They haven't been released yet, the Epstein files? Oh, it was a judge. But see, no, this is actually a good example, because they were supposed to release them and wouldn't. And they took it all the way to a judge. And then the judge said they got to be released. So it doesn't end at the police department trust. It doesn't end at the police department. In a best case scenario for her, where she succeeds in prolonging the release of the records, because I'm confident they're going to be made public at some point in time. And I'm going to be really disappointed, Candace. I'm going to be really disappointed if you're doing all this shit and they're not even as juicy as I'm expecting them to be. What if they're not even as juicy as we want them to be? What if there's no tea in there that we don't already have? I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be so mad. Like, bitch, this is what you were crying over? I don't know. I'm here for the cheese way. Yeah. It's probably, I will say that a lot of my presumptions and assumptions have been spot on. And I go back to the beginning where I was like, why doesn't she talk about this? Why does she never talk about the first deportation? Why? I have not been able to sleep good at night knowing that there's something I'm missing here. I'm invested, obsessed, hyperfixated, need to know. And there's a lot of you that are the same, okay? Especially the ones that are in here mad, they're just as invested. Her fans probably just as invested. Why did she marry Ferguson? All those same people that are like, what's it to you, are in here consuming it and eating this shit up too. Well, what's it to you then? I think it's the wiring in me. It's the lawyer. It's the hyperfixation that I need to get to the truth. And you know what? When people are like, what's it to you? I'm demonstrating my skills to my potential clients in the future. One thing about Annie, she's going to get to the bottom of it. She's going to be able to prove A, B, C, and D. She's going to be able to find records that are this old. She's going to know where to go. She's going to be resourceful on both sides of the border. Okay? Y'all don't realize it, but what I'm doing here is I'm building my portfolio, ma'am. I've already received inquiries and one-on-one consultations on, can you help me find my baby dad? Can you help me solve this murder mystery? Can you help me do this? You don't want me on your team because I'm not on your team right now, but I want a bitch like me on her team. I want a bitch like me that gets to the bottom of it. That goes all the way, that's knowledgeable. So, unfortunately, some of this ties into what I'm doing, Because if I could do this from here, imagine what I could do from over there. Imagine what I could do for this case. So it's a bigger picture for it. So when you ask me what's in it for you, actually quite a lot. I'm actually practicing international law right now. Look at me. grammar requests from another country. Look at me showing you how to do grammar this, court here, license here. You do it like this, call the jail. I just showed you how to get married in prison. I showed you how they charge you. I've been teaching you so much through this series. Okay, Mrs. Reyes Hernandez Bestie, thank you so much for the cheeseman bugs. I love how we call them cheeseman bugs. We're gaining experience that will be able to tie into other cases. I'm sorry, Candace, that it's at your expense, but I think that you owe this community. This is the least you could do for the community. After as much as you've taken from this community, including fucking land, okay, they deserve this. Lots of useful info here that you could plug in elsewhere. We're students in practice. We're journalists. We're chismosas. We're haters. Whatever the fuck you want to call us. But just let us do our thing. Imagine the DB happened when Fidel crossed with the code and called Canada Commercial Freeze. No. So this happened before the first... Oh, but you know what? She's saying he got deported 3 times. Did you guys catch that? She's saying he got deported when he was 19. Came back again. I haven't found any record of that first deportation. And she talked about him living in a different state. Also, nobody has a problem with the felony DUI. Both are fake. NBA who? Yeah. Government action forced by law and public pressure. Yes. Alright guys, I gotta get going. This ruins it. I gotta get going soon. All right, Lily and Claudia, thank you so much. All of you that are sending in Starbies, we are going to spin tonight. So I'm going to be back regardless. Tonight is the night that we announce the 2 winners for our Canada wheel. Elizabeth, Marlene, Lily, Carol. Thank you so much, besties. Thank you to all of you that have sent in Cheesema Bucks and wheel entries. Free the files. Free the Fidel files. Release the files. Celia, thank you so much for the butterfly. Release the Kraken. You guys, I really think... Priscilla, thank you so much for your doubles through the sale. I just got them. Once I wrap up the live, I'm going to input all the entries so I don't make any mistakes. The wheel is doubles, 5, and we're going to spin tonight. Celia, thank you so much for the gifts. We're spinning tonight at 9 my time. So go to my Instagram and you'll be able to schedule for the countdown. Jennifer, thank you, bestie. I just got your doubles. If you're on my YouTube channel, I pinned at the top how you can enter. Were the charges really dropped? Which ones? No, there were no charges dropped. There was a plea deal in the DUI case where they dismissed like 6 charges in exchange for him to plead to the most serious one, which was the felony. So, YouTube concerned citizens uncovering the truth. I know that's right, Blanca. Thank you so much. Yes. For those of you that are sending super thanks, consider joining our memberships. The lowest tier is $2.99. I've noticed that some of you have sent in like $5 super things, $10 super things. I would love to invite you to join our memberships with some of that if you decide to gift again. It's $2.99 and it gives you access to a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but also I'm going to be doing a giveaway for that tier as well. We do have a giveaway for the top tier, the $9.99 tier next week. And then we've gotten a good amount of new members that I will be hosting a giveaway for the $2.99 tier as well. So I definitely service Cherry Blossom. The Cherry Blossom ceramic jar is on tonight's wheel. So yes, I didn't buy any of the other collection because I just no me llamaron mucho atención, to be honest. I was a little disappointed in this year's Cherry Blossom collection. So yeah, thank you so much for the corgi. Thank you. All right. Letty, welcome to YouTube members. She just joined our membership tier of $2.99. Also, I hope you guys are enjoying the new badges. I worked really hard this morning for those new badges. I'm loving them. If you have a badge in my YouTube channel, drop a comment. I want to see everybody's badges really quick before I go. Everyone deserves a good defense to be guilty. We don't know what is there. Yes. Member check. Quick member check in my YouTube chat. They charged me $3.99. I think that has to do with the conversion rate. I was checking my membership badges and all that today, and there was a note that said, because I'm Mexico based, my account's in Mexico, so I believe depending on the conversion rate is what it charges you, which is why recently the $9.99 tier went up to like $12.99. I have not changed my amounts since I dropped them. It's locked at $2.99 and it's locked at $9.99. I can't even change them if I wanted to because I have active members on there. I think it has to do with the conversion rate. Gisela, welcome to YouTube Besties membership. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your badges, your sticker. New members, Nina Nieves, welcome to YouTube Besties. I love seeing new members. I'm going to be dropping new stickers next week. Just bear with me because there's a lot of technical glitches when uploading to YouTube. But I'm loving seeing all the new stickers, all the new members. It's $2.99 to join. You'll get access to all of the replays, member-only lives, and giveaways. We're going to be doing a giveaway soon. Las tarifas are getting us even in the membership. So yes, we will be spending tonight. It's more expensive on mobile than computer. Really? Yeah, I have no idea. I just can tell you guys I have not touched the pricing since I dropped my tiers. The first one's $2.99 and the baddies is $9.99. But I've gotten feedback that they went up, and I can only assume it had to do with conversion rate. Algo así. So, all right, YouTube, I'm out. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys enjoy this replay. It's 3 hours, so you guys have a lot to catch up on. If you're doing chores,